This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
What is going on, everybody? Happy game day. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We are back after a couple of quieter nights in the world of sports. The Jets are back. We've got Thursday night football. Big game for the Minnesota Vikings in LA against the Chargers. Heading into the weekend with two more Jet games and, of course, the World Series. Bombers in action at home at Princess Auto Stadium on Saturday. And obviously a full slate on the National Football League on Sunday, and the Utah Mammoth coming to town for the first time this season. We've got a lot to get to today. JD Bunkas is going to join us from Toronto right off the bat at the bottom of the hour, and we'll get the vibe in and around TO and talk about some of the big stories heading into the World Series. Really enjoyed JD's podcast and what he's doing with Sportsnet. It'll be a lot of fun. He was in the building for Game 7. So we'll talk some Jays and then dive into the Jets, although I'm sure Wiebe, when he comes on the program, is going to want to talk a little bit about his experience at Game 6 and Game 7 as well. Ken Weeb after that, and we'll hook up with Brandon Rewucki as well, get his thoughts on the World Series as well as the Jets through 6 games, and talk a little bit more about tonight's visitors, the Seattle Kraken. We'll hit the Cool Bet lines a little bit later on today. Speaking of Cool Bet, I do have to address something right off the start of the show, but I'll wait till Remis gets in here to do that. Couple things, though. Huge thanks to CoolBet for their partnership with Winnipeg Sports Talk. Had a great fun time last night with the poker tourney. And of course, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., we'll fire it up with another edition of WST Winners with myself, Jake, and Pat. I'm coming off a perfect week against the spread. It's the first 5 weeks were a little sketchy, but we've hit the ground. I think I'm 9-1 against the number in the last 2 weeks, so hopefully we can keep that heater going. I'll be honest, I have no clue about this game tonight between the Chargers and the Vikings, but we'll talk about that later on today. I also want to thank our partners at Princess Auto, of course, the Winnipeg Jets, HSC Millionaire Lottery, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center and Canadian Club, Chud's Power Sports, NFL Power Poll coming again tomorrow, Manitoba Battery, Rolly's Transfer, Clean Line, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug. We'll get to a Why Not question of the day. And, of course, do some fan feedback for fansfirst.ca. Should also mention to you, hey, it's Winnipeg Jets game day, and you know what that means? You can score an amazing deal at McDonald's with using the app and taking advantage of the Winnipeg Jets game day deals. Home games and away games all season long. If the Jets are playing all day long, you can have your choice of either a Big Mac or a filet of fish for just $4.49, but you have to use the app. Although I try and use the app every time I make a McDonald's purchase because you get points and I can use that for free stuff the next time you're going around. So if you're hungry before the game or maybe on your way home from the game celebrating a big victory, fire up the McDonald's app and pop by your local McDonald's to get a great deal on the iconic Big Mac or the Filet-O-Fish. Let's get Michael Remis in here. Remo, big game tonight. How are you doing today?
Feeling good. A little upset about Jeff Hamilton winning the poker again. Like, if even Phyllis is calling us out in the chat saying we should be embarrassed. I finished 4th. I did my best. Maybe I could have been a bit more patient, but it was. I just don't know how he keeps doing it. He keeps every time it's like a coin flip, he wins. So, congrats to Jeff. Congrats to Jeff.
As difficult as it is for me to come on the air and say this today, Hammer deserves it. We were all gunning for him last night. Everybody took their shots. I mean, nobody wants to hear poker hand stories or how I lost or the bad beat or whatever. Listen, he got it done. And when it comes to sports, when it comes to poker, when it comes to your bets, there is an element of scoreboard. And Hammer is right now watching this program, kicking back, snickering, pointing to the scoreboard that he is now a 3-time winner of the WST Wednesday Night Poker Series. It got down. We were both at the final table. I had what I thought was an absolutely glorious hand, and ended up getting, and I'm pretty sure I actually had more chips than Hammer. I had a flush. He had a full house. He ended up depleting me heavily. And then at that point, when the blinds are up, you got to make a move when you go in. I do need to congratulate the Knoll, our pal Jeff Lomas, longtime listener. He actually won both bounties on the hosts of WST. He took me out, then he took you out, and was the last man standing heads up against Hammer. But Jeff did it again. Prepare for tomorrow's Hamilton visit on the program to include another victory lap before we start talking about the Bombers, who, of course, are at home on Saturday at 2 p.m. But again, as tough as it is for us to say, sometimes you just have to tip your cap. He did it again. And I know there's already been talk, Cowboy mentioning, that the bounty might need to be increased on Harrow next week.
Did he get to keep his bounty? Is that how it works?
No, and of course he asked me that too. I'm like, dude, I don't think that's the way that it works. If there's a bounty on your head and you win the tournament. I don't think that is the case. But anyways, the number one most wanted man in the WST poker circuit is the Hammer. And to be honest, we'll talk to Pat tomorrow. I don't know what the plan is. I mean, obviously they've got the Coolbet Open in Estonia every year. There's the Irish Open. There was the Costa Rica one that I went to last year. We might actually need to take Hammer on one of these trips and get him in one of these tournaments and see if the incredible fortune and skill that he has displayed in our games can maybe carry over to some of these bigger events. But anyways, congratulations, Jeff. Thanks to everyone that joined us. Hell of a lot of fun. Next event is coming up in November. We've got a November one and then an earlier one in December, I believe on the 9th. I'll have to check that for you for sure. But it'll be fun. If you haven't played it and you are a poker player, please come in. Take a run at the $100 bounties, and in particular, the one on the champ. He is the champ right now. As much as it's tough for me to say it, guy did it again. Hammer will join us tomorrow on the program. But it was a fun night. Thanks to everyone that came out and joined us. All right, Remo, back to business. We're going to talk Jays coming up. Some news on a Game 1 starter. Looks like the kid, Trey Savage, is going to go for the Blue Jays on Friday night. We're working on how available Bo Bichette will be. We'll talk about that coming up with JD Bunkas in a little bit. But I'm really interested about this hockey game tonight. I mean, obviously the Jets are on a nice run. You know, Jonathan Taves getting his first one, a little Connor Scheifele magic in the third period to beat a Game Flames team that, has really been struggling for wins. And tonight you get the, let's just call them the well-traveled Seattle Kraken, who have been on the road seemingly since the opening week of the season. I mean, they had their 2 wins at home against the Ducks and the Golden Knights to get the season started. And then they've been all over the place through the East. Habs, Sens, Leafs, Flyers, Coyotes, and it hasn't gone as well. They have 1 win of these 5 road games and are trying to salvage something here in Winnipeg, probably with a lot of miles on it so far. And some interesting family ties between players that'll be in the Jet lineup and the Kraken lineup as well.
Yeah, a lot of talk this morning about Hayden Fleury going up against his brother Cale Fleury and Brad Lambert and Uncle Lane Lambert on the bench. So that came up today. And something that else came up is penalties. The Winnipeg Jets looking to stay out of the penalty box in this game. Thankfully for them, they've got a 96.3 penalty kill percentage. But when you look at times shorthanded in the league, there's the Winnipeg Jets at 7th in the league, 27 times shorthanded in 7 games. Special teams also a factor. Seattle Kraken, we mentioned the Jets penalty kill at 96.3%. There's Seattle near the bottom of the league, 29th at 66.7%. So it's obviously early. These numbers are going to even out. The Jets are not going to have a 96.3 penalty kill percentage the whole season, but early on, that would be an area to take advantage. And you mentioned the Seattle road trip. This is the last game. They've been traveling all around. They played Monday, Tuesday. How are they going to be heading into this one? And on the first game of a back-to-back with Hellebuck and net, feels like a good time for the Jets to pounce and put up some goals and then take on Calgary, who lost in overtime last night in a squeaker to Montreal. So I think the Jets are well positioned. And wearing the Heritage jerseys. I think you got to bump them up a couple performance points for how good they're going to look in the Heritage jerseys. So I love when they have Scott Arniel wearing the Heritage hat, and the players are changed over all their gear as well. Exciting, because tomorrow is 90s night for Jets Flames as well.
That is going to be fun. And the first 5,000 fans at the game tomorrow night will get that 90s style corduroy Jets hat that we've seen a bunch of the players wearing on the ads. Speaking of hats, just a quick break from getting back to the game. Did you open the show? Is this like the haters ball, having to talk about Hammer winning the poker tourney and wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers hat after your Mariners were knocked out? Surely you're not supporting the Dodgers in the World Series.
The Blue Jays aren't Canada's team. Come on, you're being fed Rogers propaganda, right? Come on. Everyone knows they're not. You can cheer for whoever you want.
I'm a big Teoscar Hernandez guy. Gotta go with the guy.
Freddie Freeman's Canadian. You know how many Canadians the Blue Jays have? 0. Okay, Freddie Freeman's parents were born in Canada.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman also was talking about his Canadian roots and said he's proud to be from the Providence of Ontario. So he called it a Providence. So I'm not sure Freddie is bleeding maple syrup or anything like that, although we'll definitely take him for the WBC.
He did. I got a WBC hat here, too. I got a WBC hat. I'm just having fun. The chat, I know I found this in the closet. I thought it'd be fun to wear. The chat is very lit up. Yeah. I mean, I do have to remind people, I drove overnight to KC in 2015 for the ALCS, where the Jays, and I did wear a Jays jersey. So, I've been watching the Jays for a long time, as much as I'm in pain from Seattle, but I thought it would be fun to put this on. Yeah. And the chat responded accordingly.
Yes, they did. Good work, everybody. Everybody on there. Listen, as I say, we will talk more World Series, but I just had to mention that because we were talking about the poker. I didn't want to get sidetracked, and then I noticed that he'd changed the Dodgers hat to a WST hat, and everyone had a good time. Let's get to the lines tonight. And of course, our lines are presented by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets, captain approved. This is the way things are looking for tonight's game. Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde. First up, no surprise there. Jonathan Toews in between Nito Niederreiter and Gustav Nyquist. Toews with 3 points in his last 2 games, scored his first as a Winnipeg Jet on Monday on the road. Big Bad Vlad is in between Alex Iafallo and Brad Lambert, who gets his second game of the year. Happy to see him back in. As Arnie said after the Monday game, just had a tough time getting him out there because he wasn't on power play, wasn't on special on PK. And half the game was basically at 5-on-4 or 4-on-5. So Lambert is back in tonight as part of the third line with Iafallo and Nemetsnikov. And then it looks like Morgan Barron, who missed practice yesterday and was day-to-day, expected to be back in the lineup tonight, along with Cole Koepke and Tanner Pearson. No changes on the blue line. Morrissey DeMello. Josh Morrissey, of course, became the franchise defense assist leader on Monday night. Congratulations again, Josh. He and Dylan DeMello. Big Stan, who's had a nice start to the season, holding down Sandberg's spot while he recovers, along with Neil Pionk and Luke Shen and Hayden Fleury, who gets to go head-to-head, maybe not often on the ice at the same time, with his brother, Cale, who is now with the Seattle Kraken, and, of course, Connor Hellebuck in net for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. And just to get back to what you were talking about before with where the Jets are standing right now, we'll talk about this with Rewucki. I mean, if you look at a lot of the analytic numbers, it's not great for the Jets so far this year. I mean, basically some of their 5-on-5 analytics are not looking like a team that's 5-1, but again, small sample size, we'll take it. Here are the numbers that really matter. Jets are 4th in the league in goals per game at 3.83, just ahead of the, 0.4 goals ahead of the Colorado Avalanche. The only teams that have scored more this year, Vegas, Carolina, and the New Jersey Devils. Goals against per game, they are 4th, 2.17. Interesting that the Colorado Avalanche, maybe trying to take a bit of a page out of the Jets book last year, the Avs are number 1 in the league right now in goals against per game, tied with the Washington Capitals, 1.86 for each team. Rangers, 1.88. Well, they have to be. They got shut out 3 times at home to start the season. And then Winnipeg. But as you mentioned, Remis, special teams has been a big, big part of the Jets' success. That's probably the reason why some of the 5-on-5 numbers maybe don't look as good. The Jets are 4th in power play in the league at 30% right now. And as we mentioned, the Jets' team save percentage as well, number 2 in the league behind the New York Rangers. And then, we get to we mentioned Jets 4th in power play. When it comes to PK, they're at the top of the list, 96.3% right now. And, listen, if you're able to dominate and get those sort of results at 5-on-4, at 5-on-4, and obviously when you're killing penalties, not to mention a couple of shorties as well mixed in there, you can maybe get past not winning all of your battles at 5-on-5. But as Scott Arniel said, Remis, like last week, and will continue to say, there is another level for this team as they get more comfortable with each other. I think Taves in particular and his line continues to move forward. We've loved the 4th line. And the top line has been effective, although a lot of what they've done has been part of the power play. But either way, the results have been there. The process continues to evolve, and this is another chance for the Jets to go up against a team that they're favored against that wasn't in the playoffs. They've been on the road for a long time and kick off this busy 3 games in 4 nights with a win.
Yeah, busy stretch here with Seattle tonight, Calgary tomorrow, and the Utah Mammoth on Sunday. And yeah, we'll see if they can keep it going. Brad Lambert continues to be in the lineup. Hess, as you mentioned, didn't get a ton of minutes last game due to all the penalties. And we'll see how he performs. And when Perfetti comes back, he's been skating. Lowry skated as an extra in the yellow jersey. You have to imagine that last spot that's been Ford, Lambert, Chibrikov. That's the player that's going to come out for for Lowry. And then if Perfetti's back after him, you have to wonder who's next on the list. Some tough decisions here to make for Scott Arniel, and they have been switching up the lines a bit. Imagine they're going to have maybe some ovation at some point for Josh Morrissey, setting the franchise record for defenseman assists as well. So it should be a solid night here, Canada Life Center on a Thursday.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll hear from Scott Arniel in just a minute. Josh Morrissey as well on that milestone, and a little bit of Brad Lambert. JD's going to be jumping on a couple minutes. Let me thank one of our newest sponsors. It is so great to have Uptown Alley on board with Winnipeg Sports Talk. Truly Winnipeg's #1 fun and family entertainment center. But it's not just for the kids, folks. Great place to go, whether it be for corporate events or just getting a bunch of your crew together to maybe have a few cold beers, eat some great food. and do a little 5 or 10 pin bowling. And they do have a ton of 5-pin lanes, 10-pin lanes, an amazing gaming center with some of the coolest games that you'll find anywhere, state-of-the-art stuff, new technology, along with really great prizes that people can win. But it's also a great place to just go and hang out. As I mentioned, the culinary options there will blow your mind. Not what you expect from a quote-unquote bowling alley. And they've got a great daily deal as well, the bowl and play special. Pop by there after 9 p.m. any day, 90 minutes of bowling, and a $10 arcade card for $20.49 per person if you're doing 5-pin, $22.49 for 10-pin. They've got amazing birthday party packages for kids, for teens, for adults, and great group and corporate events as well. You can give them a call at 488-0000 for more information or to talk to someone, or go to uptownalley.ca for more information. But of course, they're open 7 days a week, and that bowl and play special is every day after 9 p.m. Our friends at Rolly's Transfer continue to be on the move with Winnipeggers and Manitobans en route to their next destination. Funny, we're talking about that HSC Millionaire Lottery with those beautiful prize home packages. If you're moving into your dream home coming up, make sure you take care of everything with the white glove treatment that Rolly's Transfer has been famous for over 60 years, locally owned and family owned and operated. Head on over to Rollies.com and click on request an estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Fill in the info as to when and where you're moving and how much you're moving with. And the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly, get you a great quote, and get you locked in for the white glove service and treatment that they are famous for. Now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on our friends at Rollies Transfer. Find out more and get an estimate today over at Rollies.com. It was that Remis and I weren't smiling very much to begin this show today because we had to address Jeff Hamilton and what is now being referred to in the chat as a dynasty of the WST poker series. That being said, if you do need your smile back or need your smile worked on, head on over to our pal Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff at St. Vital Dental Center, serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans with a wide array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups all the way to things like dental implants. They really can do it all, with a wonderful staff and a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building. For all your dental needs, head on over to St. Vital Dental Center, serving customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus. Tell Dr. Terry we sent you. Find out more or make an appointment online at stvitaldental.ca. And listen, after the poker tourney, I kind of needed a drink last night. And I turned to Canadian Club, Canada's official and original Canadian whiskey, and of course the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, for a little solace after Hammer did it again. I will tell you that the stock is back for Saturday at Princess Auto Stadium. Always a lot of Bomber fans enjoying the official spirit of the Bombers at the games. It is, of course, available throughout Princess Auto Stadium, and I'm sure it will be a similar situation for the Grey Cup next month. But in the meantime, as you get ready for Grey Cup, for the holidays, Bomber fans, get on down to your local Manitoba liquor marts and get your hands on the limited edition Blue Bomber label bottle featuring Canadian Club, Princess Auto Stadium, the Bomber helmet. Great for entertaining and a great gift for Bomber fans who also love the best in Canadian whiskey. It's all available. Check out the Canadian Club display at your local Manitoba liquor marts today. All right, JD Bunkas is going to join us in a few minutes. Just quickly, let's hear a little bit from Coach Arneal before we get talking Jays, and then we'll come back to more of this when Ken joins us. Listen, the power play's been good, the PK's been really good, and it's had to be because the Jets have spent a lot of time in the box. Here's Arneal on hoping to keep his team out of the box tonight and reduce those number of minors against.
Yeah, I think the big thing is with those stick infractions. Obviously, I always say try to check with your legs, not with your stick. And I think that when you constantly, especially during the year when it's happening quite a bit, it's great that we're getting opportunities with our penalty kill, but at the same time, it catches up to you. So you really lose the rhythm and the pace of the game, and the lines kind of get mixed up when you have a lot of that. But for me, it's us about being better with our details, with our checking, not taking those infractions.
All right, it does come down to the details a little bit. Now, Remo, just fire up number 3 if you can. Listen, I said to Dusty earlier today on Lock Shop, the Kraken come into Winnipeg tonight probably as maybe the most anonymous team in the National Hockey League. Like, I think if you asked, like, hockey fans, people that watch a lot of hockey, like, name me 5 players on the Kraken, they probably would have a hard time doing it. They're one of the newer teams. They haven't been in the playoffs the last couple of years. They're on the West Coast. You're rarely getting them on national TV. So it'll be interesting for a lot of people to maybe get their look at this team for the first time tonight. Here's what Arnie had to say. This is number 3 Remo on the Kraken.
Yeah, really good defensively. Real good defensively. Their analytics are real big in that end of the rink. And so they've obviously, he's come in, Lane's come in and, put a heavy price on making sure that they defend first, and you see it. You can really see it. We've had a lot of overtime, shootout games. They stay in games that hang around. So what do you expect with Lane? That type of team. So we're going to have to work to get inside against this group.
A lot of respect for Lane Lambert behind the bench from Scott Arniel. We'll talk about it more with Wiebe, who's going to join us in a little bit. Now, Wiebe was at Game 6 and 7 of the ALCS on the weekend. So was our next guest, and I've been looking forward to getting this guy back on the program, and I don't think we could have had a better time than right now, one day before the World Series. Let's bring in the host of the JD Bunkas podcast, all over Sportsnet, 12 months a year. JD Bunkas joins us now. How are you doing, my friend? I think I know, but what's going on?
Buddy, this is truly what a time to be alive over here, right? Like, did you ever think coming into this season, this is the stuff that we would be talking about with the Toronto Blue Jays? Like, hey, they're in a World Series and you're going to be facing the Dodgers. And not just that, like you kind of feel like they have a pretty good shot at winning.
It is, listen, it depends on when you kind of got on board with the Jays as to what point you kind of felt like maybe this team is special. Maybe this is a bit of a team of destiny. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about, I think what's made this so amazing is that the lofty expectations that this group really carried for the last 4 years had completely evaporated after last year's terrible season. Like, yep. I thought I was being a bit of a homer by betting them over 78.5 wins at the start of the year, which was the total. Like, they were thought to be a sub 500 team. And let me ask you this. I mean, it's quite a roller coaster. You cover this team every day. At what point did you go from, this is probably going to be a long year, because I think that was basically what most people thought we were looking at in a very tough division, into, I'll tell you what, this team's giving us something to believe in as it grew throughout the 162.
So I just did another podcast before I came on with you, and I got introduced with a clip from the last time I was on their show where I was saying I believed in this baseball team when they first got hot. I certainly came into the season with a ton of speculation, and ultimately I'm always like, yeah, who cares who predicted what when? But the reason why I say this is because very early on, once they started to go over the 500 mark, that threshold, and even when they were kind of battling around it, this team had certain qualities about them that I think were starting to resonate with people. One was there was a real excitement about Vlad Guerrero Jr. actually signing a contract extension with the Blue Jays. Two was that Kirk looked like he was rebounding. Bo Bichette looked like he was rebounding. George Springer looked like he was rebounding. And then there were all these other guys around the roster that were actually finding ways to contribute, like Nathan Lucas. And you kept assuming and I was definitely thinking, hey, Nathan Lucas, thanks for coming out. But eventually they're going to replace you with a name brand Nathan Lucas. This is the President's Choice version of a baseball player that we're working with here. They're going to get somebody else. But Ernie Clement was mashing lefties, and they had truly, they just looked like a good and fun team that battled in every game, kept finding ways to come back. And the clip that they played was me saying, I thought that they were going to be buyers at the deadline. And I should say too, if you were a believer like an early believer in terms of this season. It was within the context of, hey, man, look at the American League, right? This is not the best American League that we've ever seen. The Yankees are on a down year. The Red Sox looked like they were on a down year. The Orioles were falling apart. Tampa didn't look great. But I don't know, man. The overall arching feeling of this team is that they have felt special for a while. World Series special, I never would have guessed it a day in my life up until they actually made it to the postseason and clinched the American League East. But be competitive and be scrappy and be loved and find ways to get back into ball games and win some playoff games. Yeah, like I think that these guys have been this kind of all along.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that being loved. It is as likable a team
100%
as I can remember. And I mean, I'm not just saying baseball teams. I mean, like you're in the Toronto market. I mean, we all know the attention the Leafs get. Like, Leaf fans could only wish that their team had the buy-in, the spirit, I guess, that the Blue Jays have had.
Sure.
And to be honest, that really seems to have resonated with the fan base as the crowds grew and the appreciation for what they were doing grown. And, you know, we heard Vladdy and a number of players talk about the energy of what the fans in the city, in the building are bringing right now. And it's kind of like the fans are feeding off what the team has done, but the team is also feeding off what this city and the fan base is doing for them each and every week. And I mean, I don't know how you could think any different after watching the magic that was Game 7.
You've been watching sports for a long time. So have I. Like, it's a real passion. And so I think that you get a little bit more of a spidey sense as you get older and watch more and more teams for exactly what we're talking about with this group. Like, you'll like a team, and obviously success dictates emotionality with a group. But I was talking about this with a buddy the other day. Like, everybody really enjoyed the 2015 run. And this is, again, never take away. You have to say it. You have to give the caveat to these things because it always sounds like that's what you're doing. But the 2015 Blue Jays were, do you swear?
Oh, go for it.
Assholes. They were assholes, but they were our assholes, you know, like it was Josh Donaldson and Jose Bautista, and like they're getting in the faces of other teams. And so it's great to have a team like that, right? Where everybody hates your guys, but they're your guys, you know, it's like having a rat on your hockey team. Like, if you get to root for Brad Marchand, that feels amazing. If you're playing Brad Marchand, you hate his guts to the ever-loving core. This Blue Jays team is, for a wrestling term for my boy Huss, they're the baby faces, brother.
Yes.
Like, they're the baby face Blue Jays. Everybody loves them. They're John Cena. They show up in your town and kids go nuts. People are losing their minds for this guy. They're showing up at kids' charity hospitals and donating their time to everybody possible. There's not an unlikable ounce in this Blue Jays team. And to your point about like the energy from the fan base to them, like, fans root teams on, and a lot of it is success driven. But in this market in particular, Toronto gets a ton of shit for, oh, they're too hard on the athletes. Oh, you know, you guys in your media are so critical and your fan base is so critical. And it's part of the reason why you can't have a special connection with some of these teams. Look at what the players go through. Man, I'm old enough to remember those Maple Leaf teams in the 2000s and how much they were loved. Like, there's Matt Sundin walks through this city and he's a champion despite having never won a Stanley Cup. Darcy Tucker, go ask him how things are going in terms of living in Toronto. Gary Roberts, who's got his business in Toronto. Like, this team, in terms of like equating it to something else Toronto has seen, reminds me a little bit about 2000 Maple Leafs, where it was like, lay it all on the line, have a bunch of likable, scrappy dudes, punch above your weight in terms of talent level, and find ways to win games. And like, you compare and contrast it with some of the other groups, like these recent Maple Leafs teams that you just mentioned. It's like, it's not even close because the players give it back too. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is crying on the Jumbotron. He's trying to promise. He's making sure that in every media availability, he's talking about how much he wants to give it back to the city. Ernie Clement talking about embracing the city. Max Scherzer signing in Toronto because he thought that they could win and embracing the city. Chris Bassett, all of these guys, man, like, there's not one peep of a guy doing the whole like, well, the customs or Toronto's different and it's hard on my family. Like, they're not doing any of that bullshit. It's just all pure. We love the city. We love the fans, and the fans have given it back, and they embrace the country too. Like, it's not just Toronto. They do the winter tour. They believe, they understand. It's more than a cliche with this team when it comes to Canada's team. It really is.
It's so funny. Here, obviously, we focus on our team, the Winnipeg Jets, who, 3 years ago had basically sort of a broken locker room. I mean, there's been plenty of stories about the culture, and Rick Bowness came in and they worked through that. And last year, as they had really a magical year, winning the President's Trophy, obviously falling short in the playoffs, through that season, like, we were appreciating the wins, but at the same time, appreciating the 180-degree turn that this team had taken with Adam Lowry taking over as the captain. And it made that connection. It made the wins that much better. And it's been huge for the franchise. Like, that seemingly has happened with this Blue Jays team. And I mean, it has kind of caught lightning in the bottle. You mentioned a bunch of those players who were kind of buying in. I have to bring up George Springer. Oh. I mean, him speaking after Game 7 about our city, our country, words that I've never heard from a Blue Jay or, frankly, any U.S. player that's coming and playing in that sort of a scenario. And it got me thinking about this guy. And bottom line is, if George Springer doesn't do what he did this year, which nobody saw coming, people were talking about just having him bought out, not with the team at the start of the year. And then throughout the year, he is the MVP of this team, and then hitting this iconic home run. I mean, the Springer story this year is kind of synonymous with the resurgence and arrival of the Jays, despite him being 36 years old.
Which makes me feel horrible, because it's like, wait, 36 is the world's oldest man now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Depressing.
Our careers are over.
Yeah, it's done. So, first of all, one of the reasons why your show is so successful and popular is because you're authentic, right? That's why podcasts have taken off, and some of traditional media has slipped a little bit, is because people like it when there's someone that they feel like is their true selves in front of you. It feels more natural to listen to that person, especially if you're going to spend hours on YouTube or through a podcast feed, whatever. That's the beauty of what is happening with this Blue Jays team and their connection to Canada and the city of Toronto. It's authentic. It's real. It's not forced. It's not faked. It's not cookie cutter. They absolutely show it with the things that they do, and they never seem to forget to mention it and seem to thrive in it. They are seeing right now, if you're going to be there, right? You're there for Game 1, Game 2. You're flying in.
Oh, man, listen, we've been all over trying to get tickets, and I have a couple friends that are lucky enough to be there.
Okay, but it is as loud as a stadium I've ever been to. Oh. It is an atmosphere that is completely unmistakable with just about North American sports, to be honest. Like, I would say that the best atmospheres I've ever been to are Bell Center on a Saturday night, where it just goes, it's insane in there. There's just a different, like, even as a Torontonian, there's just a different way that they breathe hockey in that arena in Montreal. There's something about being there that is completely different. This is mayhem. This is pandemonium. This is elation in the building when people are there. This is people singing songs and belting it out like it's a European soccer stadium whenever we hit the "Hey baby" or like the the "Take Me Out to the Ball Games," all of it. It's electric. So it's I think easier to understand from those players when they're getting this kind of love back. But to the Springer point, this is the part of his contract that is supposed to be dead money. Yeah. It's over. Hey, the guy came here. You got a free agent. You got some good years at the front. Free agent contracts always age poorly. Blah, blah, blah. Cry, cry, cry. And here's this guy in his age 36 season during the dead money years, as you put him. And he just provided the biggest moment in the franchise's history since Joe Carter. So, and it is that. Like, it is unequivocally that. I love the bat flip. I love Jose Bautista to death. That moment meant the world to me. But that was a tie game. When he hit that home run, it was already tied, and it was to go to the NLCS, not to go to a World Series. The Jays were trailing. They felt very, very tenuous that the season was going to be there. That's a Game 7 of a CS to go to a World Series. The guy's playing on one knee as though, it's a heroic moment. It's something that you are going to remember forever and ever and ever. It is going to inspire a new generation of baseball fans, and I genuinely think that it is one of the greatest sporting moments in this country's history, and we have a lot of them.
Well, and I'll tell you what, the table is set for a few more. And, we went through all these players that have been sort of big parts of the Blue Jays all season long. Game 1, giving the ball to the kid, you savage. I mean, listen, I think there's a lot of people watching this that, maybe started paying attention in September and there's the race. They're going to blow the lead. It's the Yankees. Talk to us about the path that Savage has taken to be in this moment. I mean, it's borderline unprecedented in baseball.
Yeah, I think that I've already been seeing some stats flying around. This is the most appearances in a postseason that anyone his age has ever made. It's incredible. So if you're just kind of learning and tuning into this team, this is a kid who they took in the first round, who was a collegiate pitcher, which in baseball terms, that means that you're closer to the major leagues than if you're coming up through other traditional channels. This kid who pitches in college, looks great, is a senior. They decide, you know what, we're going to keep jumping you throughout the system. We're going to keep jumping you throughout the ranks. Every rank he goes to, he pitches well, but there's a slight issue. He walks batters. He walks too many guys. They bring him up to the major league level at the end of the year, and a lot of people believed that was going to be the case, but that he was going to be a leverage guy out of the bullpen to give them a funky look because he throws this fastball and a splitter that's really hard for pitchers from both sides of the plate to pick up. No one expected this. No one, not the most diehard believer, his family members, if you gave them the truth serum, would never say, we think that our kid in his rookie season is going to be starting game 1 of the World Series for the Toronto Blue Jays, throwing perfect, a no-hitter against the New York freaking Yankees in his first postseason appearance, and to show up against the Mariners after a little bit of a blip the second time around and shove when they absolutely needed someone to shove. He is, again, to get back to the authentic and the likability of the team, he is someone who is genuinely appreciating the moment, who seems to be in love with the love that the crowd is giving him. He's tearing up, talking about his family after this big outing against the Yankees. The crowd is obviously completely moved. I was moved to tears watching Trey Savage talk about his family. Who doesn't, get emotional when they think about their journey and the people that supported them? He gets it. And not only that, he's disgusting in terms of the stuff. He throws one of the nastiest pitches in all of baseball, that splitter, and it is impossible to pick up for left-handed hitters. So here you have a big righty that basically neutralizes you no matter what side of the plate that you hit from, because he can just bury this pitch in the dirt that you think is going to be above through the heart of the plate, and all of a sudden you're waving over top of it looking like an idiot. So I didn't think he was going to get game 1, Huss. Like I really didn't. I thought it was going to be Kevin Gausman, who's also been brilliant, who also throws a splitter, also the same things against lefties apply with Kevin Gausman. But I guess the Blue Jays thinking was that they took him out of rhythm for that outing in game 7 for him to come out of the bullpen. He only threw 19 pitches, but they must have thought that the adrenaline in that moment was enough to convince them that they wanted to bump him back. And they're still going to have him for a second game in the series. And I think the way that they're looking at it is that's going to be the case anyway. So it's a coin flip. They give the Dodgers a guy that they've literally never seen before, who the Dodgers can't put into their traject machine, which is the simulator that they basically have AI to show you exactly what a pitcher throws and throw it from an arm slot. Savage is so tall that they actually can't emulate it using this machine, the way that he throws from. So I think they're trying to give them a different look, put them on their back foot to start the series. They're using Trey Savage. And I think the crazy part of it is that it feels a little odd. I won't lie, but it doesn't feel wrong, which is pretty crazy.
Listen, no moment has been too big for this young man at any level all year long. And listen, he's been dropping jaws. He's been putting up dubs, and now he's getting the opportunity. And I mean, the Jays' first trip to the World Series in over 30 years. So we're going to go Savage likely, Gausman. How do you see the rest of the rotation? Will we see Max Scherzer start a game in the World Series against his old team?
I do.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah, sign me up too. I think that we're going to see it. It's a little scarier against the Dodgers than it is against the Mariners, granted. But I think that it's going to go the exact same way, minus you flipping the front two guys. So my expectation is you go with the 2 splitter throwing righties. Then you're going with Shane Bieber in game 3, Scherzer game 4, and Chris Bassett coming out of the bullpen. The real question mark is with what they saw from him in this series, where he came in game 2 and threw a leverage inning and was the first guy to get a shutdown inning out of every Blue Jays pitcher that had appeared in that ball game up until that point. And then a leverage spot as the setup man in the 8th inning. What are they going to use Bassett with a little bit more frequency? Like, are they going to try him out as a bit of a secret weapon out of the bullpen, as a guy who throws some really, a wide variety, a big time arsenal of pitches? I'm curious to see it, because the bullpen has been taxed pretty heavily. They've had some blips with Sir Anthony Dominguez. They certainly just lost one of their lefty relievers in Brendan Little in terms of feeling any level of confidence with him in leverage. They're going to lean on this kid, Mason Fluharty, who is maybe the primary reason why the Blue Jays have home field advantage.
100%. That ninth inning performance against LA to salvage a game out of that series. In a lot of ways, I look back at that moment as like an unknown dude, Flaherty, coming in, striking out Betts, striking out Ohtani, bases loaded, to avoid being swept. That moment to me was actually a big part of, holy smokes, this team has arrived.
Dude, this is the thing about them all year long. Just when they make you doubt whether or not they can do it, just when they make you feel like maybe there was a little bit of pixie dust to the run, maybe these guys are a collection of minor leaguers and has-beens and whatever, they come up with a big moment when they need it. I've been calling them the procrastinator Blue Jays, where it's like they love leaving things to the last minute and they need the urgency of the moment to get something done. And it really has been kind of like the real theme of this season. So yeah, but for your question, I think that's the way they're going to roll at the starting pitching. I think Bassett's in the bullpen. I don't think that they get too cute. You get the travel day, right? So you only need 4 starters, and then you have it lined up so that it's the same way as before, where if you decide to go back to games 5, 6, 7, you've got the 3 studs in your lineup that you're leaning on the most. And you're kind of hoping out of all those guys that Shane Bieber can give you a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it's the one thing whenever someone has, and this goes to the same thing with the bats. Yep. Vladdy's killing it. All of a sudden he has a quieter game, and it's Kirk or it's Ernie Clement. I still maintain that the difference, Seattle was a hell of a ball club. They've got amazing young pitching. The difference in that series to me, JD, we can talk about Vladdy. They had big dumper. Rodriguez was huge. It was the 7 to 9 hitters.
It was.
When we write the story, if this team can win 4 more games and we write the story of the Toronto Blue Jays, for my money, maybe the 2 biggest at-bats in the entire playoffs were Jimenez and the 2-run shots in the 3rd inning in game 3 and 4 when they had lost the first 2 at home.
Yeah, if you look at the difference in that series, you're bang on. The Mariners went with J.P. Crawford, Canzone, Rivas. Those all felt like automatic outs. The Blue Jays countered with Jimenez, who hit the 2 huge bombs. They countered with Barger, who turned back the clock to when he first arrived as a Toronto Blue Jay in the series. They threw IKF out there, who gets, the big knock in the 7th inning that sets everything up for Jimenez to lay down the bunt before Springer ends up hitting the home run, versus the Mariners, who in the 9th against Jeff Hoffman twice work 3-2 counts, and they can't get a runner on with the bottom of that lineup. And can't get Cal Raleigh to the dish, who probably would have made everybody piss their pants in that stadium if he stepped up in that moment with a runner on base in the 9th inning. Flat out. MVP, to have a moment like that, terrifying. The Dodgers are better in that regard. They've got Pages. He's a guy who could probably hit in the middle of the lineup for a lot of teams. They got Hernandez, who, and Kike is that by not Teoscar, who also obviously nasty and everybody's familiar with here, but who seems to show up and be clutch every single playoff. Same with Tommy Edman. They're loaded, dude. They've got bats all over the place. But the fact of the matter is, up until this moment, the Toronto Blue Jays are hitting better than the Dodgers are. Jays are hitting almost 300 as a team, Huss. That doesn't happen when you're just being carried by 1 star. That happens when that's not Vladdy with his 4.11 average carrying everybody, or George Springer carrying everybody. That's without Bo Bichette, the guy that led the American League in hits the entire season until he was hurt. This team can hit. They've got gamers. They've got guys who put the ball in play. They got guys who take great at bats. They've got guys with great eyes, and they've got guys who don't quit. And so, yeah, I don't think that the Dodgers have faced a team like this in the postseason. I think Philly was carrying around a lot of baggage and didn't perform very well. Their top guys completely went to sleep, and their team relied on those top guys in a way that the Blue Jays don't. I think that they faced a Reds team that shouldn't have been in the postseason, and then they faced a Brewers team that, just ultimately same thing. Not enough depth, wasn't able to employ their pitching, ran into their pitching staff, and then countered with 1 starting pitcher in the rest of those games, bullpen games. Jays are a complete team. Jays are maybe behind the Dodgers in strength of lineup, strength of starting pitching. I wouldn't say strength of bullpen, but all of it. You could kind of give the nod to the Dodgers if you wanted, but the difference between them and the Jays, I just don't believe is as stark as what you're going to hear from a lot of national pundits in the States that haven't watched this Blue Jays teams as closely.
No, I agree with you as well. And I mean, obviously, we're seeing what the books are laying out. The Dodgers are a heavy favorite, which I mean, I can't disagree with. But at the same point, you're the favorite until the underdog punches you in the mouth. Yep. And I'm very interested to see when we do get that push from the Blue Jays, what the Dodgers have back. You mentioned Bo Bichette. I mean, obviously, this is a team that has not had Bo throughout the playoffs, which was incredibly disappointing. I think a lot of people thought might be the difference in them having a real shot to get here. Well, they're here. Where does he fit in? What do we know about his availability? Will he play in the field? Will he DH? And what does his addition to the World Series roster mean for the rest of the squad?
So first of all, I think it's critically important because, again, the Dodgers have one of the best starting pitching staffs ever to be assembled. They have got 4 guys that are going to start in this series in Blake Snell, killer. Yamamoto, killer. They've got Shohei Ohtani, who's throwing 100 out there, killer. And Tyler Glasnow, killer. 2 guys who used to be Tampa Rays, by the way, who were directly responsible for hurting the Blue Jays year in, year out. So fans are going to be familiar with them. When you're facing that level of pitching, you need those elite bats. And as great as those moments were in terms of the IKF single and the Barger walk against Bizzardo, it was George Springer who delivered that game-winning home run. You got to lean on your studs to have big moments against best on best, and Bo Bichette is one of the best. So you absolutely want his bat in the lineup. They're letting him take ground balls today at second base. John Schneider spoke and said that they could basically put him everywhere. I would be shocked to see him at shortstop in this series. I think Jimenez is the shortstop now. And frankly, I think if Bo Bichette resigns, Jimenez is the shortstop moving forward, and that Bo would have to come to grips with that reality. Personally, I would rather see George Springer play in the outfield if his knee can hold up and have Bo Bichette DH. And the reason why I say that is pretty clear and simple, which is infield defense is more important than corner outfield defense. It is far more likely that Bo Bichette could cost you a run with his glove at second base than it is that George Springer, even if he's a little hobbled, will cost you a run in the outfield on a poke out to his side. And yeah, I don't like messing with the chemistry. We're a hockey country, so we have the don't mess with the winning lineup. That's the way that we think about everything. You can't do that in this sport. This is literally one of the best players on planet Earth. This is one of the best hitters on planet Earth. And the first game of this series is going to be a dominant lefty on the mound opposite of you. You got to get Bo Bichette's bat out there. But for me, if it's my decision and George Springer's leg is not compromised, then I'm asking George Springer to play in the outfield, and I'm asking Bo Bichette to carry the baton and be my DH, and frankly, probably hitting the 4-hole.
Man, this has been such a fun chat, JD, and thanks again for doing this. I can't imagine how much fun it is for you, a guy that, has that passion, has that authenticity, talking about, this team throughout the year, but right now at this moment. But take away the who's writing the paycheck and what you even do for a living. I just want to ask you, as a sports fan, as a guy that's been following this team for so long, what was the hour in downtown Toronto after Game 7 like? I saw that picture of you and Sam outside afterwards, and I mean, it gave me chills because at the end of the day, as much as it's a privilege to be able to talk to people about this, I'd be doing the same damn thing every day at the bar top down the street if we wasn't doing this. And I damn sure would be at that game if my team was there. And it was just a moment that seemed to take over everybody. I mean, how much fun was that afterwards, knowing that team was going to the World Series and that you guys were there?
It was so fun, man. Like, honestly, again, I get a little older, maybe getting a little bit more sentimental, but you just realize, like, this stuff doesn't happen all the time, right? Like, this is not an everyday occurrence. We don't follow the Dodgers. We don't follow the Yankees. There's a salary cap in the NHL that makes it very difficult for the Canadian teams to prosper the way that I think that they should, based on the level of interest in comparison to a lot of the other markets in the States and the money that they provide. These are once in a lifetime things. Like, if you were around for 92, 93, that's incredible. But like, I was a little child. I saw 2015. I've gone my entire life, and my best sporting baseball memories We're making it to a championship series, which is great. Again, incredible. But you kind of want to be able to lock into those moments and take in your surroundings, appreciate how special it is. I just love watching other people celebrate, dude. And the pure joy and the euphoria on their faces, and people having one too many drinks, people doing chants, people singing songs, the boys ripping off their tarps. Like, it's magic. And I think one of the things with sports that was always so attractive to me is there is nothing quite like a big sporting event that works as a connector in this way. You've got strangers hugging in the streets, high-fiving, sharing tears together. And for the rest of your life, you're going to be able to walk up to a person and just to be able to say, George, the Springer dinger, and you'll have something to talk about. And like, in a world where we now have more and more of it, like being, hey, did you see this show on this streaming service that nobody ends up watching? Like, the collective experiences are fewer and fewer, man. It's all about micro audiences, and this is my podcast and that's your podcast, and I do this and you do that. Everybody's got their own little special thing, their own little algorithm that gives them the exact content they need. To have a moment like that the whole country got to share, that 8.5 million Canadians were watching that game when he hit that home run, to be able to have that moment as a shared collective, as a Canadian, like, that means something to me. And so, yeah, like, I'll carry that memory till the day I die.
JD Bunkas with us. He's the host of the JD Bunkas podcast. As I said, I think if you haven't been checking out JD's content, now is the time to do it. Fill people in on when, where, how they get it, and what you're going to be cooking up, hopefully over a magical week and a half for the Toronto Blue Jays and Canadian sports fans.
Yeah, listen, I do the JD Bunkas podcast every day. It hits it hits Spotify, it hits Apple, it hits YouTube. All of it gets posted around 10 a.m. The show is only an hour right now. It goes to 2 hours when the Jays are out. So not only did I get to have my team go on a special run, they got to cut down on my workload, which was pretty nice. I got the double dip in the happiness. And then, I also host Leafs Talk, which is after every single Leafs game. You can catch that same thing. YouTube, Sportsnet Plus, all those places, Spotify, Apple, everything.
I had to laugh just on Leafs Talk. The Jays are doing this. Meanwhile, Anthony Stolarz is calling out the team. They're losing at home again. Between not having to deal with the media for the most part, because the Jays had taken the spotlight off of them, and Vlad wearing the Matthews jersey on Game 7, the Leafs have ironically become big winners out of this Jays run.
Yeah, I tweeted that's the Austin Matthews finally won a Game 7. It's first one.
Dude, have a great one. Enjoy the ride. Thank you very much for doing this. Be well, and hopefully we'll see you in TO shortly.
Absolutely. See you, Huss.
Right on. There's JD Bunkas. Give him a follow on X as well, and check out the JD Bunkas podcast. He is really fun, really talented dude, and he's a real one, and is enjoying every minute. Speaking of real ones, Ken Weeb's going to join us a little bit later on in the program. Actually, shortly, to be perfectly honest with you. But Saturday afternoon, folks, one more kick the can for the Bombers in a home game at Princess Auto Stadium. We hope that they might have a road game in the middle of November, but there's a lot of work to be done to get there for that. Of course, Princess Auto is the proud sponsors of WST, and just got a tweet that Princess Auto Stadium is sold out for Saturday, which deserves, this is incredible. 14 straight sellouts. I'll just read this from the Bombers for people that are listening on the pod. Thank you, Bomber fans, for 14 straight sellouts. Your passion, loyalty, and energy make Princess Auto Stadium the best atmosphere in Canadian sports. Together, they've made Blue Bomber history by selling out the entire regular season. That's from Wade Miller, the president and CEO of WST. So, absolutely incredible. That's we often talk about, where Winnipeg and their sports fans, there's Exhibit A right there. Princess Auto Stadium, 2:00, Saturday afternoon. Of course, Princess Auto is also headquartered and founded right here in Winnipeg, and coast to coast, but with 3 locations in the Peg, with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you over at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them today or order online 24/7, 365 at princessauto.com. Tomorrow, we'll dive into another Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. But the Derminator and the great staff over at Chud's up in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231, Manitoba's original and true power sports superstore, ready for the snow to fly. Of course, it's October right now, and the savings are spooky, but with snowmobile season lurking just around the corner, they've got incredible savings right now on Polaris and Arctic Cat sleds that you can grab before the snow creeps in. Also, other October must-haves, ATVs, side-by-sides, and personal transportation. I can't get my eyes. I got to go out and check out these Argos and Sasquatches at some point when the ice is out there. And of course, ice fishing season. They got shacks. They've got it all. Go to chudspowersports.com for more information on everything that Chuds has waiting for you. And I can assure you, with more than 80 years in business and some of the most experienced people in the industry there, you'll get taken care of amazingly by the wonderful staff at Chuds Power Sports. Pop out there, Gimli, chudspowersports.com. And by the way, I know you love great deals. If you're looking for some clearance stuff, gear and accessories, amazing deals right now at truenorthparts.ca. Oh, if you're fixing something, by the way, best selection of parts in the province as well. They've got it all. Chud's Power Sports. We'll do the power poll tomorrow. Fired up, and hopefully the Jets are charged up for the next 3 days in 4 nights with 3 big games at home. Manitoba Battery can get you charged up for the upcoming winter and make sure that you are not that guy calling your buddy for a boost because your battery didn't work. Free battery testing at all Manitoba Battery locations. And if you need, they'll replace it right there when you get there with the best prices around, period, in the city. They beat the pants off the big box stores as your local option for batteries. So get your car, truck ready. Maybe you're on an ATV or something else for the upcoming winter. But in the meantime, Manitoba Battery, ready for winter. ManitobaBattery.com, Logan Avenue, Dovercourt Drive. Give them a phone call. They also deliver batteries citywide inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. All right, we did the clean line, the Jets lines for clean line a little earlier. We know Ken is going to join us in just a few minutes. But let's get to a little bit more of this Jets audio while we await Ken's appearance on the program. We mentioned that Hayden Fleury is going to be going up against his brother Cale tonight. Always fun. We had a brother-brother matchup on Saturday with the Barron brothers. Tonight, it's the Fleuries. Remo, this is number 2. Here's just Scott Arniel asked about Hayden Fleury and how he's held up, playing regularly right now with Dylan Sandberg out of the lineup.
Always knew he's a really good skater, and that's probably his best attribute in the sense that how quick he can close on people, jump in the rush. But we really saw it, really seen it more this year. Obviously, he's in every night right now, and he's been able to put his skating on display, which is, like I said, his best part of his game. But then he's added to it as well, his defending and closing quick on people, jumping in the rush offensively. Creating plays. He's had some really good looks offensively. And that's kind of just him feeling confident and doing those things nightly.
All right, Scott Arniel on Hayden Fleury. Now, part of the issues with positioning, as Scott Arniel discussed, or the penalties, I should say, has been a lack of maybe sometimes being a little bit out of place. We know how devoted the Jets are to the system. Here's just Scott Arniel with an interesting comment on just the importance of positioning and being in the right place for as opposed to your teammates.
When we talk about defending, it's our quickness and it's our ability to close in time and space. And when you're taking the stick from fractions, you're probably late, or I don't want to say lazy, but maybe we're not pounding strides hard enough to get to people. And I think that's part of what we have to do. Never going to criticize the guys for the physical penalties that happen, and there are a few of those that have happened in the games. But the other side, when we skate and close and use our quickness on people, then we're away from that. We're away from that stuff where we have to use our sticks or our hands and grabbing onto people.
This is your team it's becoming common that they have a good start out of the gates. How would you explain the readiness your team has had the last couple of years to be ready out of the gates?
Well, I think it's important in this league. You can lose a game in the first period. And you can also get a leg up in the first period, not necessarily win, but you can also put teams on their heels. And then we like to feel that, if we get a lead, we can defend it, and we've proven that. And so if we can get out in front of teams, it puts an awful lot of pressure on them to change their game. Now they've got to open up. Now they've got to take a few more chances than they normally would want to do, and then that's maybe where we expose those and get some more goals or more offense from it. So I think being ready to go is part of your job as a player. It's just don't wade into games. If you do, you could be down the big time, and so that's something we stressed here about getting out and setting the tone, setting the pace, play our jet hockey early, and try teams catch us.
All right, there's Scott Arniel, head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. We'll hear from Josh Morrissey and Brad Lambert. But first up, let's bring in Ken Weeb. And listen, that was, by the way, such a fun conversation with JD about what's been going on with this Blue Jays team throughout the season heading into the World Series. I'd be remiss if I didn't first off talk to Ken about his weekend. But get in here, buddy. How are you? How are things this morning down at the rink?
Really good, Huss. Great to be with you as always. Sorry, we have another great technical difficulty happening here, but otherwise
stilts or what?
Otherwise, great. Yeah. Sorry, the old home office hasn't looked the same since spending a little too much time in Toronto, as it turns out, I guess. But just an incredible experience at Game 7, and super thankful. 4 home games already under the belt, and happy to announce
What's the status?
I will be attending Game 6, Huss. As long as the series goes that far, let's just say fortunate to be in the building there. I almost had a billet. I almost stayed in Toronto, but the 2 home games here I didn't want to miss. So, but there was some, the fingers were working on travel options, but won't be 1 and 2 will be from home, and hopefully she gets back for Game 6 and get to experience that kind of atmosphere again. It was ridiculous, Huss. Mike McIntyre and I were talking about this morning. Manitoba Miracle in the spring, Vladdy Grand Slam in Game 2 of the DS, Springer Dinger Game 7, Savage unbelievable in Game 6. Just folks know how much I love baseball, and it was just blessed to be able to see it. I'm not short on words very often, Huss, but it was awesome. And then I FaceTimed Rennie in, and the bedlam that ensued after the final Hoffman out was recorded. So just pretty special stuff.
I couldn't believe you even did KNR after that, to be perfectly honest with you. I was impressed, because I would have probably been right in the middle of it all.
Bremner in front, yes.
But hey, I have to ask you this, as a respected journalist, are you Big J Ken when you're there, or are you able to get away and this is all in on the Blue Jays going crazy? Are you actually the one guy of the 45,000 that's there for the story?
No, Huss, I'm teenage Ken.
Yes, okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
93. Maybe a little bit more experience, obviously, than the 18-year-old who watched the Joe Carter monumental evening. But as you can tell from my voice, no, I'm not sitting on my hands in neutrality when I'm at the Blue Jays. Not speaking out of school here by any stretch. It was, just awesome to see, an incredible event, and it's just cool to. I would have loved to have been able to stay downtown. We did stay for the trophy presentation, but had to hustle to get home for the show and listen to the third period, watch the Jets third period, so I could look like at least had.
Were you staying out by the airport?
Yeah. So this is the one tough part. This is not abnormal, but downtown hotel prices, even with the NHL codes and things, did not offer the opportunity to be downtown. And this is the crazy thing. Even with as efficient as the up train is from downtown Union Station to the airport, it took us 2 hours to get from the seats to the train back to the hotel after shuttling post-game Game 6. It was about an hour 45 or 50 after Game 7. So
Uptrain's amazing.
First world problems here.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for sympathy. It just, Sean's texting like, oh, do you want to go up at quarter 2? I'm like, no. I'm trying to get back to my hotel, my man. So would have been cool to do it from downtown, but just
it was chaos.
an awesome scene.
It just would have been like you're yourself in the middle. Hey, Sean, no one can hear you. You can't do it. And it did give you a chance to watch the third period on
That's
the
true.
uptrain as it went through. Let's just going into the game. I want to get into this matchup tonight against Seattle. But listen, the record's great. The Jets are up at the top of goals per game, save percentage, power play, penalty kill. There's a lot of things that are going right now. What's the next step for this team? Is it just a little more consistency and efficiency at 5-on-5?
Yeah, I think that's probably it, Huss. I mean, obviously, Connor Hellebuck has been out of his mind, I think in all of his starts, to be honest. I mean, some folks who just look at the box score and say, oh my God, he gave up 5 in the first. I mean, I've leaned into this quite heavily on your show and ours. That game should have been 8 or 9 goals against if Hellebuck's not playing a sharp game. But the sheer magnitude of the numbers in the 4 starts since, he's basically been unbeatable, Huss. And so I guess the next step for me would be the Jets just need to clamp down a bit more defensively. Again, I think there's some incremental growth and improvement there, but I think Connor Hellebuck's high danger chances are probably still a little bit higher than what Scott O'Neill would like to see. So that part of it needs to be a little bit better, but everything else we talked about, secondary scoring has been there. Some offense from the defense has been coming as well, with Josh Morrissey passing Dustin Byfuglien on the franchise assist lead. Neil Pionk got himself on the board, and the secondary scoring has been sensational. Nino Niederreiter riding high, Jonathan Taves finding himself, Nyquist looking a little more comfortable. So I think, I'm not saying it's the best along, but they're getting a lot closer to their template, Huss, is what I would say.
What are your thoughts on this one tonight with the Kraken coming in? I mean, I described them earlier as probably the most anonymous team in the NHL. I mean, there's not a lot of household names or stars to average hockey fans. You rarely see them unless you're mining the West Coast games on, the package late at night. And listen, they had a real nice start with wins at home over the Ducks and Golden Knights. But man, they've been traveling, and this is the end of a 6-gamer. They've got 1-4 so far. Obviously an opportunity for the Jets to keep it rolling, but I imagine this will be a hungry team wanting to salvage a little bit more out of this road trip at the start of the season.
Yeah, trying to replenish the gas tanks. I know obviously they were off yesterday after being back-to-back games with Philadelphia and Washington. It's an oddly timed road trip for them to be coming west after being east and far east. It's a bit strange on that front. Lane Lambert trying to put his stamp on this team. They had obviously a good start in terms of, how they were defending. And, I like aspects of their team. They've got they're trying to do what Dallas did kind of, Huss, with, you're blending some young talent with a bunch of experienced guys. The goaltending has been just okay, I think, for the most part. But again, Joey Decord has worked himself into the conversation for Olympics and things of that nature also. So, I mean, they've got some good veterans. Chandler Stevenson, yes, folks can say whatever they want about the contract, but he's still a good two-way player. Matty Benier is player on the rise. Shane Wright, a high draft pick. So they do have some talent, and Berkeley Catton is going to be a guy who's fun to watch. Coming out of the Western League, 8th overall pick, pretty skilled player, playing his 3rd NHL game here this evening. So, and we know Mason Marchment definitely was a factor in that series with the Jets, last spring as well, and he's changed teams here. So, and on the back, Adam Larson, Vince Dunn. Vince Dunn's a guy we saw a ton when he was in St. Louis. Larson, a good two-way steady player, and Jamie Alexiak, obviously been on the radar a lot with the Jetsons and trade deadlines and things like that. So, and we've got the Flurry Bowl tonight, Huss, and as Hayden said, it's the marquee matchup of the brother battles this year in the NHL.
Yeah, well, we got back-to-back
firmly planted in cheek.
Back-to-back home games with brother battles. We had the Barons on Saturday night, and then the brothers. And listen, some more family ties with this. Of course, Brad Lambert's getting into his second game, and I'm happy for Brad because, as Arnie said, I mean, with all the power plays, there wasn't a lot of ice time to go around for guys that were just simply playing at 5-on-5. And I like the way that they've handled things with the young players through these first few weeks without Cole Perfetti and without Lowry. There's a spot able to, for guys to get in. Chibrikov got 3 games. Parker Ford, who, to be honest, I think has impressed me the most out of the 3 so far.
Yep.
Again, Brad's got sort of an incomplete grade. But, a chance for Brad to get back in. And listen, just like we said about Parker Ford and certainly Chibrikov, these are massive opportunities for these young players to try to have solid games, earn the trust of the coaching staff for when opportunities arise later on in the season at particular spots in the lineup. And it's important to note, Chibrikov did have some time outside of the top line. Parker Ford playing the top line. Brad Lambert's going to get in along with Iafallo and Nemestikov, which to me is a pretty nice spot and exactly the sort of place that a player of his skill set maybe can sort of transition into the NHL.
Yeah, Hassan, you and I talked about this going into training camp where, we weren't sure where all the puzzle pieces were going to fit, but as it stands, like it's the best opportunity for integration, right? We talked about with Lowry being out, that third line with Nemestikov is, it's not necessarily just checking plus because we're seeing so much best on best with Scheifele's line going up against the other team's best on a lot of occasions. So that gives you the opportunity, if you're Brad Lambert, to play with 2 guys who have skill in Nemestikov and Iafallo, but are also very capable defensive players. So it's not to say that you got the green light to go or cheat or anything like that, but it does mean that those guys will have you covered on a lot of instances if you're, trying to use a little flash and dash and trying to make something happen. Now, you still want to be doing that within the confines of the structure in the system, but it does give him a better opportunity than, say, being on the 4th line of an year and sort of chip and chase mentality. But Huss, I would even say now the way that Morgan Barron and Cole Koepke are playing and Tanner Pearson, you could probably integrate on the 4th line this in a similar manner. But just right now, probably a little bit more of an offensive tilt, in Iafallo, who played on the top line in LA for a while with Kopitar, and with Nemestikov, who basically spent all of last year on the 2nd line, playing with Nikolai Ehlers and Cole Perfetti. So I agree with you. I mean, tough the other night. He only had 11 shifts and 7 minutes and change, but that he did enough in that window to show Scott Arniel that he wanted to see more. That is a testament to the work Brad's been doing in the off season. We know it's tough to fit 3 guys into one spot, and hey, it's getting late early for those guys based on the update we got on Cole Perfetti and the update on Adam Lowry.
Yeah, I was just going to go there right now. I mean, give us the quick little infirmary update, because it's been great to see those guys on the ice, and we actually saw Lowry out in practice with the yellow jersey.
Yeah, he's been working on the 4th defense pair, and again, that I don't think that means he's ahead of schedule. It just means that it's
doesn't mean he's
reps.
Moving to defense either, right?
It does also not mean he's moving to defense. No. Colin Miller would enjoy having him as a partner, I'm sure, just to keep the balancing act going there. But the fact that Lowry's back into regular practice in a non-contact is also a good sign for him. Still kind of the timetable is end of October, early November, I think, barring no setbacks. He's looking like he's moving better, Huss. And again, Dave Minuk's the only one with eyes on Perfetti so far, but sounds like there's progression there. Whether it's early or mid-November, I'm not sure. But, Huss, when I heard the high ankle portion, I was nervous it was an 8 to 10 week injury, for Cole's sake. I mean, I worked so hard to get ready for this year, and it's a big year in terms of the leveling up for him. And then to sort of have that disruption on such a nothing burger play is tough for him, but he's been working hard, obviously getting himself back ready.
Hey, just looking ahead to when he does return. We had Kevin on yesterday, Sawyer, and I thought he made a great point. I mean, and this kind of transitioned into what you've seen from Jonathan Toews through half a dozen games, who of course had his first goal against Calgary on Monday. But he said, we see just like what a brilliant player Toews is, being in the right spot, making the right play and all that. And, he said Cole Perfetti has proven to be such a cerebral player, using his head, being in the right spot. He, even more so now, there is a legitimate element of excitement to see what that connection might be able to look like when Cole actually comes back and plays with a Jonathan Toews that's not in his first game back in the National Hockey League, but has continually gotten more comfortable and looked more effective every game.
Yeah, Hassan, and I use the word processor with Cole a lot, and that's a compliment to his hockey brain and intelligence. But I'm with you. I mean, you're putting the USB connector between two pretty, incredible hockey minds, and you have to think that there's going to be chemistry, right? And you're right. Now, the benefit for this part of the experiment now is that, even though Cole Perfetti is kind of trying to play catch up, Jonathan Toews is now going to be, 14 to 18 games into his journey and adventure. So he's kind of, I'm not saying he's hitting fast forward, but he's definitely going to be in a different place here compared to where we thought he would be or where he was in training camp. Whereas Cole's going to be the one playing a little bit of catch up. But I do think that there's great opportunity for those two to really mesh well together. And, the way that Nino Niederreiter is playing, he's worked himself into the conversation that it's not necessarily automatic that Nino will go down to play with Lowry because it seems like there's some chemistry with Toews there as well. Nyquist, obviously, the wild card, he's getting things going. The beauty for Scott Arniel is that you have so many options and permutations and combinations that you can try. Now, again, you'd like some continuity at times, but the fact that he's got so many options that can move up and down the lineup freely, I think will really help the Jets moving forward.
Hey, just quickly on Perfetti, when he comes back, the more I think about this, and this is specifically to the power play, with the way AI has looked, just being that dog on the PP1 unit and finding pucks and getting them to the guys that have been scoring, I'm actually hoping, especially if Toews and Perfetti are regulars on the same line together, that we might see Cole, instead of going to where I think he was planned to be at the start of the season on that PP1, to add even more to a second power play unit that has looked really dangerous at times this year. Do you think that's the way they maybe start, or do they get back to the plan that they had at the start of the year that they weren't really able to start with, which of course is Perfetti in that spot on the first power play in Iafallo's spot?
Yeah, it's a moving target, Huss, for me on that front, and it probably is for Cole as well. Obviously, with the way that things are going, Cole's going to be on the power play, but it just depends on how especially with an injury like the ankle injury that he's dealing with, how much ice time can you take? What are the minutes? Obviously, same as Toews. Toews could play on the top power play too, but if you're working on kind of managing your minutes, second unit makes a lot of sense on that front, Huss, at least to start. And again, for Alex Iafallo's done a fantastic job there, Huss. But, I mean, there's a reason why they had Perfetti and Toews in mind for that job, and that's got nothing to do with Iafallo or his abilities. Just those guys have a little bit more of an offensive tilt and bent to their game. But as you mentioned, that ability for retrievals is one of the reasons why the Jets' power plays have been so effective the last 2 years. And Iafallo's been doing that whether he's been on the top unit or the second unit. So, again, I think that Iafallo will keep that job for the time being, but when you're a player like him, you are always in pencil, even when you're playing at your very best. We've seen it, last year he went from the first line to the fourth line, and it's no different for the power play, but he's earned the opportunity to stay there. And if he continues to produce the way that he has, he'll be there. I mean, that's the way that it is. But I mean, there's just another element of, and again, it's not that Iafallo is not skilled, but those other two guys have a level of skill that is maybe a little bit higher. And,
here's my point.
I think eventually he's going to be, I'm just going to put it this way. I think AI is going to be moving to the second unit. It doesn't have to be immediate. It's going to be a gradual thing. And based on how things are going, and if they just keep rolling, maybe they'll leave him there. But I just think that he's going to, things eventually move back to where you had planned.
I would love to see, because listen, we talked a lot about the power play, but I mean, the second unit has been great too. Like there have been games, Ken, where we look at power play time on ice and it's Toews and Nemetsnikov and Pionk that are above those other ones because they started and they basically lived in the team zone for about a minute and a half.
Yeah, and that's been great for them, right? I mean, and that's what they did last year, which is the reason they were first. The first unit was excellent, but the first unit isn't only what made them the top power play in the league. There were stretches where that top unit went a little bit cold, and then the second unit picked them up. And that's the beauty. Whenever the Jets have had a good power play, they've had a second unit that's been able to provide a different look and B, some excellent complementary scoring. And it's so important for a team. And we just talked about Lambert, Huss. Brad Lambert could be on the second unit of many teams in the NHL today, but right now there's no room for him on this unit. I would say same thing for Tanner Pearson. So eventually you're knocking somebody off that unit too, whether it's Nemesnikov or somebody else. So it's a great luxury for the Jets to have. And the fact that Davis Payne has set up a situation and a scenario where so many players can contribute to that part of the game is so important for them. And you talked about it with Kevin the other day, Huss, and beauty of technology. I'm listening to the hit while I'm flying home from the game. The fact that the Jets are integrating like 8 or 9 penalty killers as forwards is a massive thing as well. That means you're not just reliant on 4 guys up front and spinning 2 units, because then that's how those guys get tired too. If you're only going 2, if you're spin cycling through 3 sets and sometimes 4, that's a huge benefit as well on the PK. And one of the reasons why they've only given up the 1 goal in 27 chances.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the PK has been outstanding, and we could kind of start talking about Morgan Barron as well. But we need a lozenge for you. We need some rest and some quiet time.
This is why we were saying to Remo, like Friday would have been optimal, but it's okay. We're here to fight through it, Huss. It's early in the year, but I'm here to battle through.
Yeah, well, listen, I didn't want to go too long from your Jays Game 7 experience, because tomorrow we're going to lock in on Game 1. Sure. And hey, starting off a big 3 games. Just quickly on the way out, obviously we've got Seattle and Calgary tomorrow. We spent quite a bit of time talking about those teams. Just a quick thought on Sunday's game against Utah, finishing up a very busy weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a fun team. Huss, it's they've sort of been the sexy pick to be one of the wild card teams for the last couple of years here, and you wonder when they're going to turn the corner. I did pick them. Full disclosure, I picked them to be the second wild card team last year, and even though they didn't get good enough goaltending and weren't deep enough, I did double down on them after the moves Bill Armstrong made. I love the Paterka addition. They're a fun team, Huss. They're a kind of they're sort of like not the 17-18 Jets, but like the version that was like trending up towards that. Dylan Gunther, he's been a game-winning goal machine. Fun to watch. You and I saw him when the Edmonton Oil Kings beat the Winnipeg Ice that year. Fun player to watch. Great release. He cashed in with a big contract. Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, these guys are fun guys to watch. Sergachev was a great addition. So yeah, it'll be a fun watch for sure. And again, we know that it's not a relocated franchise, but I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I mean, there's pieces of the Coyotes are still part of the Mammoth. So even though they're not connected officially, some folks are always going to watch that matchup and think 1.0, 2.0.
Give us our records back. Speaking of which, hopefully that's in the works right now. Have a great one. We'll see you at the rink. Enjoy the game tonight and enjoy Game 1 and 2 of the World Series this weekend. Looking forward to doing it again next week, Weaver.
You betcha, buddy. You savage in Game 1. I love it. And looks like Bo's going to be trending to be on the roster. So, I'm happy as a fan that he's got Game 1, but I was really hoping for Savage in 2 and 6. Because Huss, this is ridiculous. I've already seen 2 of his starts, and I thought I was about to see a third. So, and he only has had 6. So, but again, it has the Ken Weeb stamp of approval. Not that Schneider needs it. I know everyone's picking the Dodgers, and they are the heavy favorite. I have to go Jays in 6, and not just because I'm going to be attending that night, but it would be magical. Let's go that far.
Hey, you've been the good luck charm. So. Bottom line, get off to a better start in this series than they did get against Seattle at home, and see what happens. Weber, have a great one. We'll look forward to you and Mike and the rest of the team in the Winnipeg Free Press on a very busy next 4 days for the Winnipeg Jets at home. Take it easy, dude.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy the series and enjoy all of these sporting adventures here this next few days.
You bet. All right, there's Ken Weeb with us at Weeb's World on X. We are going to be talking to Brandon Rewucki in just a minute. Let me get to the why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And, we're 1 day out from the World Series. But I'd like to get the pulse of the chat on the chances of the Jays winning this. We'll get to the cool bet lines. They are a significant underdog. I mean, plus 186, although don't forget, you can go to the exclusives. You want to bet the Jays, boost it to plus 250. And the Dodgers are basically a super team. So why not question for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray? What do you believe the chances are that the Jets win? Maybe get some percentages in there, and we'll touch on that in just a minute. Of course, we talked a lot of Jets with Ken. We went through the Jet lines earlier today, presented by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Clean Line has been the local leader for over 40 years in plumbing, heating, and electrical services, and has now grown to one of the biggest companies in town, serving both residential and commercial jobs and needs. Now, for most of you that are listening, you're not a commercial outfit, you're a residential outfit. And just know that 24/7, 365, if you've got plumbing issues, the folks at Clean Line are there. Go to cleanline.ca for more information. Of course, Clean Line is the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. As you see there with Adam Lowry in that beautiful Clean Line shirt, they are captain approved. Again, cleanline.ca for all your plumbing, heating, and electrical needs. This is going to be a busy few days at your local Boston Pizza gang, and I assure you, especially for the World Series, get out with a bunch of friends. Get out to the Boston Pizza Lounge and be a part of the atmosphere. I mean, we'd all love to be at the games, but as JD mentioned earlier, these are communal experiences, and there's nothing better than being in a packed sports bar, which they will all be for these games this weekend. And while you're there, you can check out the new flight menu at your local BP. We already love the pizza flights. The wing flights are amazing. 15 wings in 3 different choices of flavors. And now they've got the chicken bite flights, serving them up in Thai, pineapple, habanero, and honey garlic flavors. And they've introduced fry flights with the classic fries, yam fries, and garlic parm fries with the chipotle and cactus dips. Pick those up. You can also receive a Flight Club invite for BP's grand prize trip for 2 to California, end of February. Perfect timing for that, to see the Jets play the Ducks on February 27th. Boston Pizza, you're home for all Jets action too. Get there early if you're not heading to the arena tonight, and grab a player for those pick-a-player contests to win great prizes from Boston Pizza. Everyone asking about Jays gear. Pretty simple answer to that question. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Your Jays headquarters. Now, they've got a ton of Jays gear, although it is, as you would imagine, flying off the shelves now that the team is in the World Series. Hopefully by the end of today, though, they will have the World Series hats. The Blue Jays lids are going to be wearing in the World Series, along with, now I think you can see there, Remis, go back to that last one. If you're looking at that one, my buddy Dom went down to Royal and picked this up. He was so happy. Fitted Jays hats. That's the postseason logo. And now they're bringing them in with the World Series logo. So a great collector item. The hat you'll want to be wearing through the series to commemorate it. And obviously you got Gosman, you got Vladdy Jr., tons of player jerseys as well, and T-shirts. So Jays fans, you want to get ready for the World Series, you know where to go. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. And keep your eyes on the Instagram page at Royal Sports Winnipeg. I think as soon as those World Series hats are in, they'll put them up on the story. Get them while they are available, because you know they're going to be going real fast. And hey, listen, we want to get to Josh Morrissey, Brad Lambert, and Brandon Rewucki. But first up, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right. Oh, there's some optimism for the Blue Jays in the chat, and there should be, despite being underdogs. I think you've been following this team. You know that there's something special going on. Let's do fan feedback for Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market. where what you see is what you pay. Sold out game like the Bombers. Fansfirst.ca will be able to find a couple to get in. And certainly all Jet games all year. And if you are a season ticket holder or a ticket holder and you have a tough time using your tickets for a particular game, throw them up on Fans First, the best place to sell your tickets with quick and prompt payment the day after the game, straight into your account. Seabreeze, I like that. Jays in 6. Keith Lillis is going Jays in 5. And Phyllis, why not? It's been over 30 years. I think the Jays defy the odds and win the World Series in 6 or 7. Boring Sean Monahan. I think the Jays can absolutely wins this series. And Dan, Jets fan, Jets or Jays, Huss? What do you mean? I have to pick between them? I'm going with both. I do like the Jets tonight, and I'll certainly be back in the Jays tomorrow. Well, that's going to be a tough one. I will be at the game, 90s night, tomorrow night. We'll be cranking out the phone in the seats in 316, making sure we're on top of the game as well. Boring Sean Monahan did say, I don't think the Jets can beat the Dodgers, though. And that's a good one. T-Will, the Jays have a 70% chance to take this. Unless they remember they're from Toronto, then it's 0. The Toronto salt never really leaves the chat. Dan, Jets fan, going Jays in 7 as well. Fan feedback, as always, brought to you by Fans First, by fans, for fans, no fees. Check out the site today over at fansfirst.ca. All right, Rewucki's ready to go. But before we do that, we promised we'd give you a little bit of Josh Morrissey. And, of course, Morrissey set a big record. But before we hear that, it's been a little quiet for Josh. We've been talking about some of the other players. Got his second assist on Jonathan Taves' first goal as a Winnipeg Jet. Here's what Morrissey has to say about the 5-game winning streak and the team's hot start to the season.
Yeah, I think, we've talked all through training camp and the start of the year about our depth. I think, that's something that's a real strength of our organization, our team, guys that can come in and fill some big roles. And obviously we've got really good players out of our lineup, but if you look at our overall game, our power play, penalty kill, goaltending have been really good. In our 5-on-5 game, I think we have room to improve, but there's still a lot of positives there as well. So it's been nice to see guys step up, and as a group, we've had also great starts from players. You look at Scheif and Casey and what they're doing. It's been fun to have guys step up every night.
How would you describe the level those two are operating at?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing unreal. They're definitely on the same page. They played together for a long time now, and knowing those guys both off the ice, they work really hard in the summer to come in and not just be ready to go, but kind of take their game to another level and keep trying to find new ways to improve and get better. And I'd say just from day one of camp, both those guys looked like they were on their game or even at another level, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. And they're dangerous. They're tough to stop in practice, so it's nice to see that carries over every single night of the games.
All right, so there's Josh on the team's hot start. Now, sometimes he's loath to talk about himself, but everyone was talking about him passing Buff for the franchise record for assists by a Jets defenseman 2.0 version. Here's Josh on the milestone.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool feeling for sure. Obviously the player that I guess I passed in Buff, my first D partner really in the NHL, and played I think the first 40 or 50 games as a pairing my rookie year, and just so much admiration for him, so much respect for him. Very thankful for his mentorship, I guess, early on, and how many things I learned from him. I'm not sure I ever thought I would pass him in something, but yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's just a testament to playing with a lot of great players and a lot of guys that can put the puck in the back of the net.
There's Josh Morrissey. He'll be anchoring that top defense unit tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. One more clip for you, and this is from Brad Lambert, who gets into his second game of the season and gets a chance to do it going up against Uncle Lane Lambert, who will be on the bench of the Seattle Kraken. Here is the young Jet forward.
Yeah, I think just stay ready every time I get out there. There's an opportunity to do something, and just stay in the game. Obviously, if there's a lot of special teams, it cuts it down a bit, but still got to stay ready and help in any way I can.
What's it going to be like to look behind the bench of your opponent and see a very familiar family face?
Yeah, that'll be fun for sure. My grandma's in town too, so she gets to see her son coach against her grandson. So that's pretty special.
What kind of influence did Lane have on you growing up there?
Yeah, obviously I grew up in Finland, so I was pretty far away. But whenever I'd see him, and all my dad and all his two brothers are really close. So he was in my life a lot.
Nice to see him get that second chance. He was with the Islanders, of course, and maybe tough circumstances there, but to get another chance as a head coach in this league.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's he works his ass off, and I know how hard he works, and he definitely deserves it. So very nice, yeah.
Brad, what the ice time that you did have against Calgary on Monday, what did you like about your play?
Yeah, I felt like I did decent with what ice time I got. I made a couple nice plays. Obviously, it's kind of when you're not playing as much, you kind of just want to try and keep it simple. Make sure you're getting pucks in deep and getting on the forecheck and kind of gaining the trust of your coach.
All right, there's Brad Lambert. Quite the top by Christian Homel. I have a feeling that one was not CGOB issued, but nice for a little bit of flair in the scrum. We don't see a lot of that very often. And yes, he is a Vikings fan, giving him the side eye a little bit, but definitely nice hoodie. Turning some heads there in the scrum today. Anyways, Brad Lambert, big opportunity for him tonight, back in the lineup for the Winnipeg Jets. Hey, just before we bring on Brandon, folks, don't forget tonight is the deadline for the Grey Cup bonuses as part of the HSC Millionaire Lottery. Now, anytime you buy a ticket, you'll be in for the grand prizes. But tonight, they've got 3 Grey Cup bonus prizes, including prime seats to the 112th Grey Cup at Princess Auto Stadium. You'll also be in time to get in for next week's deadline, which is the early bird deadline worth over $215,000. The early bird prizes will have 2 winners with the choice of either a 2025 BMW i4 eDrive 35 full EV valued at over $74K and $26,000 in Indigeno travel vouchers or $85,000 cash. Also, there'll be 30 winners for the early bird of gas and groceries, $500 times 30 in Red River Co-op gift cards. So get your tickets now and get in for these early bird draws. I mean, you'll also, of course, be in for the grand prize, which is the choice of between one of 5 dream home packages worth $1.5 million, 2 in West St. Paul, 1 in Sage Creek, 1 in Oak Bluff, 1 on Vancouver Island, or $1.25 million tax-free cash, all in support of Manitoba's Hospital, the Health Sciences Center Foundation. Get your tickets, and maybe you will be Manitoba's next millionaire. Maybe you'll be at the Grey Cup. Maybe you'll win an early bird draw, and it's all in support of a great cause because we know how important the HSC is to our community. HSCMillionaire.com is where you can buy the tickets online. Make sure to pop in for that 50-50 and the extra cash plus options. And if you'd like to buy them in person, head on down to London Drugs or your local Red River Co-op store. All right. Let's welcome in Brandon Rewucki of Skates and Plates and get his thoughts on the Jays and Jets Kraken and a big weekend in sports coming up. All right, let's bring in our pal Brandon Rewucki, host of Skates and Plates. Find it wherever you get your Winnipeg Sports Talk audio podcast. Rew, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Busy weekend coming up, so excited to get into it.
I mean, busy weekend this weekend. Last weekend was insane. The weekend before. This, I will say, and obviously a big part of it has been the Blue Jays run in the playoffs, but this October has been as packed and fun as and exciting as for sports fans as I can remember maybe ever. I mean, it just seems like, with the exception of a couple quiet nights the last 2 days, every night, it's not just one big game, it's like 2 or 3.
I know. And even the NBA last night, I kind of forgot about it. It's like, oh, Wembanyama is a human cheat code. That's pretty cool on a quiet Wednesday night. My only gripe would be we got to do away with the Monday night doubleheaders for the NFL. It's ruining Sundays, and then you can't properly enjoy the one NFL Monday nighter. But man, I'm with you. Like, I don't know what it is. And the NHL's gotten off to a pretty wild start, and it's just been flowing real nicely here. And I think maybe it's probably propped up by the Jays, right? Like would it be as exciting if it was, if they were out of the picture and we had to watch Mariners Red Sox in the ALCS? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that series was an absolute, heart-stopping throughout. It really had it all. I mean, listen, the Brewers-Dodgers didn't quite have the same suspense or intrigue, although it did get a 3-home-run, 10-strikeout game from Shohei Ohtani, which wasn't bad. But I will go counterpoint to the Monday night doubleheader. I appreciated the fact that it was the Monday night doubleheader and the one where they were back-to-back, not kind of 1 hour apart with the starts, because I at least got to watch a good portion of Detroit-Tampa before the baseball game started, and then was even able to catch some of Houston-Seattle after the baseball game, and the Jet game against Calgary on Monday finished up. It was a solid 6-hour shift trying to take it all in.
Fair enough. I'll concede on that one, although the late night Monday nighters I got no chance at with the little ones. So that's either a PVR or we just we check the box scores the next day.
Let's just quickly talk Jays for a minute. I mean, I know you're a guy that follows baseball, like I think a lot of us. I mean, if the Jays are doing well and there's a reason to watch, you'll kind of get dialed in. And we've talked about it over the last couple of months, but even as they were first place and trying to hang on to the AL East title, it is sort of pinch me time for a lot of Jays fans that this team is back in the World Series. And I mean, to go up against the Dodgers and former Blue Jay for 20 minutes, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, it's this is a kind of a dream matchup. And I don't want to say they're playing with house money, because you get to the World Series, you get to a championship to win it. But for the team, for the franchise, the organization, the fan base, this has absolutely been as magical of a run as we've seen since the early 90s.
Well, it's funny, too, because you kind of forget. I think they were like plus 6,000 before the year to make the World Series.
Dude, their win total for the season was 78.5.
Yeah.
They were predicted to be 3 games under 500.
And remember, Vladdy didn't sign right away. And the vibes were beyond an all-time low in Toronto. No, everybody hated the team. We hate the players. We hate management. All that stuff.
How about the turnaround of Atkins and Shapiro?
Yeah, I know. I saw them walk up on stage. Those guys couldn't walk
the streets at the start of the season.
I saw them walk up on stage to pick up the ALCS, and they must have the ultimate how do you like me now? They probably wanted to say a few things, but maybe opted to go the more PR friendly route. But it is it was kind of team of destiny versus team of destiny in the ALCS, with the year Cal Raleigh's had and how wild the Mariners games were. I mean, the 15-16 inning there against the Tigers just to get there. So it was going to be heartbreak one way or the other. But I don't know. Look, the Dodgers are easily the favorite. They're the better team. No one's going to argue that. But I don't think the Blue Jays are out of this just yet. And we've seen teams before, especially in baseball, fail to capture the crown despite lofty regular season win totals or just, powerful, deep, talented lineups. And Dave Roberts, despite the ring on his finger, has had his fair share of postseason questionable moves, I guess we'll say.
The issue about the Dodgers lineup is it's basically idiot proof.
Almost.
I mean, they're just so good. I mean, it's hard to. He doesn't have any bad options. I'll put it that way.
That is fair. But I do go back to the game against the Phillies. I think it was game 2 in Philly, where they kind of saved themselves by turning the bunt and getting Castellanos out at third there. But it was moments like that where everyone's like, what could you possibly be thinking here, right? And it worked out well for them in the end. So we'll see what ends up happening here. But I mean, Vladdy is, at the very least, Vladdy's on one of these legendary runs. And, you know, we've seen, like, I think of Madison Bumgarner, right, with the Giants, where sometimes one guy on a heater, I know he's not a pitcher, obviously, but like one guy on a heater can get it done. Like it can take you all the way here. And I mean, you want to talk about storybook, also forget Bo Bichette has yet to play. And if he can give them some lift wherever they put him in the batting lineup, in the batting order, they can go toe to toe. Like they've got some decent starting pitching. You know, can Scherzer pull one more out of that?
His old team?
Can he do one? Can the old war horse just pull one more out? I don't know, but I'm actually expecting a competitive series here, and I think that's pretty much all you can hope for is the Jays to turn this into a best of three by the time that the final couple of games come around here. But it's going to be amazing regardless of that.
Yeah, get this series back to Toronto. I mean, I think this crowd and the energy of the city and really the country, I think, is also some serious wind in their sails. And, oh, man, it's been fun to watch. And the other thing about the Blue Jays, and again, you know, on paper, some would call it a mismatch. I mean, if your pitchers step up and, you know, play well, you can stay in games. But I really think that the Seattle series was won by the guys in the 7 through 9 spots. I mean, Ernie Clement's hitting. I mean, the two homers by Jimenez. I mean, let's not forget this team was down 2-0 and down 2-0 in Game 3, and it looked dark. And then Jimenez, who was hitting 200, hits that 2-run homer. It completely flips that game, and then did the exact same thing in Game 4. That was something that Seattle did not get. I mean, the top guys, Rodriguez, Aral, I mean, they stepped up and showed out. But I mean, the Jays, it was a true team win, and it's going to take everybody if they want to beat the Dodgers. Can't wait for that. It gets going tomorrow night. Same time, the Jets are going to be taking on the Calgary Flames. But before that, Seattle Kraken in tonight. 5-1, 5-game winning streak so far. I think we'd all agree we haven't seen the best of the Winnipeg Jets so far, but taking care of business. I mean, where are you at right now on the club and what we've seen from them? Missing some big players and being 5-1 after that tough loss at home to open the season.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because you take a look at especially some of the analytics, which I know people love to do, and they're dead last in expected goals, in Corsi, all that stuff. And my main takeaway is I don't really care because this isn't even the same team right now that we're going to see in a couple weeks' time, right? Like we all knew they were going to struggle to generate offense outside of the top line. And we knew that there were going to be some issues with the bottom two pairs. And that's all kind of played out exactly as we thought so far. So like as far as what they've done on the ice, I really don't think anybody should be surprised. I think we should be thankful that it's a 5-1 record, though, and that the Jets once again can lean on high-level goaltending with both Hellebuck and Comrie playing exceptionally well so far. So,
to be fair, they're scoring though. Now I know they're far and away number one in goals above expected, but I think they've got 23 on the season in only 6 games. Most of the teams ahead of them have played 7 or 8. So they actually have been scoring goals, and maybe it's opportunistic. I haven't checked the shooting percentage. I'm sure it's pretty high. Maybe it's just been led by Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele, who have had this incredible start to the season. But, I mean, there have been chips in. And, you know, listen, while we're talking about that secondary scoring, obviously we've spent a lot of time talking about the fourth line. But while 27 teams around the league, we just talked to John Shannon yesterday, are desperately searching for a second-line center. Sound familiar?
Oh, my gosh.
For me, the thing that I'm most excited about or that gives me the most hope is just how Jonathan Toews has looked over the course of these first 6 games. And what if he continues to trend as he has been, what that might mean for the Winnipeg Jets in the second half of the season and most importantly, the playoffs.
Yeah, it's absurd, first off, and can't wait till we bring 4 more teams into the equation. So everybody's looking for a first, second, third, and fourth line center. Yeah, really, really exciting times.
Guys like Taves might be able to play till 45 with another 14.
Yeah, one of us might get a call up if we're not careful.
7-year deal, 7-year extension.
But I'm with you where, like, for example, even if he doesn't get the goal against Calgary the other night, we're all still feeling the same way about his overall game, that he's making an impact, right? That's kind of the main thing there. And again, it's pretty remarkable, like doing it without, obviously Nick Ehlers isn't here anymore, but doing it without Cole Perfetti, who was supposed to take a leap and then B, shoulder a bunch of the secondary scoring load for this club. And he's been asked to play way more minutes than he probably should right now. And he's handled it all beyond, I think, even Kevin Cheveldayoff and Scott Arniel's wildest expectations. Like he looks like a 2C. And I think if you ask Jets fans, that's what he was going to deliver through, heading into the 10-game mark, they'd be over the moon with that as a result so far. So, I mean, I would agree that is the biggest sign of optimism for this team's chances heading into the, not the second half of the season, but heading into the stretch run. And again, like you said there, it's never too early to look at the trade deadline. And when you can basically jump the queue of 10 teams looking for some kind of help down the middle, it's a lot easier to pick up a wing. It's a lot easier to pick up a guy that can be maybe a secondary support piece on the blue line. And all of a sudden, the lineup looks pretty juicy. So it's been massive. He's been outstanding. And having said that, too, while it didn't affect our outlook on it, seeing that goal go in was pretty damn awesome. Would have liked it to be on home ice, but still amazing.
And I mean, coming off the Nashville game where, he had that unbelievable pass to Vlad Nemestikov and ended up having a multi-point game, 3 points in the last two. It sure has been in a great spot. And just, talking about the trade deadline and the search for the 2C, I mean, Remis and I are going to need some new material. I mean, if you go back to our shows from about February or January, February till the start of March and the deadline, like how many times the term second line center has been mentioned on this program, I would be embarrassed to count, but that has been the case, and it certainly doesn't seem. I mean, just speaking of the center ice position, I mean, what a spot this team is going to be in when Adam Lowry comes back.
Yeah.
When you legitimately have 5 guys that you're comfortable putting in most spots. I mean, Adam Lowry's played up in the 2-hole, at times when needed. Obviously, Vlad was there. Vlad might not even be playing center when Lowry comes back. In fact, I would suggest he probably won't be, because you're going to have Lowry there in the middle. Taves is staying. And from my opinion, you cannot take Morgan Barron out of the middle of that fourth line.
No. And it's funny because we had this conversation where it's like, oh, you'd like to see him get a chance up there, maybe on the second line, like out there on the wing. But I'm with you where it's like he's a centerman, though, and he's playing so impactfully that wouldn't you just, like, how many teams, again, crave center depth down the middle, big, tall, fast, powerful centerman? And what, Taves would be the smallest of the bunch now? Or Scheif? Like, I like, what, your smallest center is 6'2", 6'3"? Like, I think that's where you almost, how like Nashville used to have 4 number 1 defensemen? It's like, if you can have an advantage over pretty much any team out there, why not just be the club that is massive down the middle and the spine of your team is at least physically very difficult to handle? And so that's where I think the Jets have found themselves in. And I mean, at this point, is 20 goals the floor for Morgan Barron? Like, I don't know, but he pops every time he's out there. And he's one of those guys where you need to find more minutes for him. Like, I don't know if the answer is to put him out there on the wing, but maybe we just try to ease the Taves burden a little bit and get Morgan Barron out there, maybe for a spot shift with the second line winger group. I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you there where once everybody's back fully healthy here, there's some pretty interesting combinations that you can work with. And then again, looking to the deadline, you feel pretty good about this bottom 6 group at the very least. And maybe it's just one piece up front that you're targeting.
Well, up front, or I might suggest on the blue line. I mean, if there's a way that you could put a few assets together and get a guy, and listen, maybe it's a rental. I mean, maybe you pay a price for a guy like Rasmus Andersson. How good would he look on the right side of Josh Morrissey? Or a player that might have a little bit more term. But I think the way the forwards look right now, the team is in a position to really focus in maybe on the back end to, try to put a few assets together and get one piece that can come in, whether it's for a year or two, and, really help that back end maybe get to that next level that, cup contending teams have. We got the Kraken in here tonight. Your Flyers were playing them just in their last time out. I'll be honest, I have not seen more than 2 minutes of the Kraken this year, and they might be the most anonymous team in the National Hockey League. New, always playing on the West Coast, never on national TV. You really sort of got to seek it out, but. What did you see during your limited time with seeing the Kraken as they continue this epic road trip, which of course ends here in the Peg tonight?
Yeah, as I watched my first and soon to be second last Kraken game of the season, they're Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. Like I'm not buying the record, at least, to their fast start. They're just a club that's going to struggle to generate offense as far as high end producers. They've basically got a bunch of guys that have 3 to 5 points through 7 games. You can basically just extrapolate that out over the rest of the season. They're fast, they play hard, but they're going to have to lean on Joey Decord, and they're going to have to lean on at least a mobile blue line. That's one of maybe their biggest strengths is just their overall team speed. Decord, unfortunately had a major stinker against the Flyers. He was yanked. He didn't play very good, but I mean, he has been really, really strong for them for a couple of seasons now. But yeah, I'm kind of anonymous is maybe the best way to describe them. Like, it's almost like they don't know who they want to be just yet. But having said that, speaking of down the middle, like they do have a bright future down the middle. Berkeley Catton played his first NHL game against the Flyers. He was, I think, the 7th overall pick 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, like, to have Catton, Beniers, Wright down the middle at the very least, like, they are seemingly pretty set, but they're one of those teams that, amongst many Huss, that are still searching for that elite star level player. And I think they had hoped that Matty Beniers would do that after he won the Calder, and he's just kind of plateaued a little bit. I think he's still got it in him, but just a reminder that development isn't always linear, and it can be tough going for a 19, 20, 21-year-old in the NHL, even if you come into the league gate storming. So I like this should be one of those games that the Jets take care of business with. But it also isn't one where, hey guys, we can just kind of come in, put this one on cruise control, and away we go, because Seattle, give them credit, can skate you into the ice and make you look pretty stupid.
It's funny just looking at their lineup. I mean, they came in as an expansion team. I thought they blew it. I mean, the way that they built their team, and
I think you're still right, though.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we haven't really seen. Now, listen, hey, they did beat the Avalanche in the playoffs that year, so I mean, maybe we were all eating our words then. But the big thing of building this team is that they have had money, they have had cap space, they've made a couple big splashes in free agency. I mean, the Grubauer deal early on really hasn't worked out. I mean, Chandler Stevenson got paid a huge sum of money, and he's had an okay start to the season, but I don't think he's really the star player they thought they were getting for that. And then, you have early picks, and Beniers won the Calder, just hasn't hit that next step. They've been waiting for Shane Wright, and that's why they're a team that, top ceiling of them seems to be like challenging for one of those wild cards. But that'll be interesting tonight to see what happens, and get a chance to see some new unis and some new jerseys or new players. But the bottom line for the Jets is they want to keep this thing rolling right now, keep on stacking up points against non-playoff teams while they wait for the reinforcements to come. Tonight and tomorrow, Seattle and Calgary. Just before we go, quick thoughts on a lot of people talking about the Utah Mammoth. I just about called them the Utah Grizzlies, like I did yesterday. Shout out to the IHL, my old Moose days. But Utah, a pretty intriguing team, and that Sunday game, I think, of the three might be the most intriguing for people watching what the Jets are up to, but also a team that I think is going to be in the mix in this Central Division, even with how strong it is.
Yeah, Grizzlies Solar Bears. That would be a nice matchup. Yeah, I to be honest, I was kind of trying to do the contrarian thing where I wasn't buying the Utah hype that everybody else seemingly was going into the season. I still wonder a little bit, like, if they do get banged up, do they have the depth? And that's what really sunk them in the second half of last year. But yeah, they're a fun ass team, man. Like that's a, if you're watching hockey on a Tuesday night and the Jets aren't playing and you're kind of channel surfing, I don't mind putting a Mammoth game on and watching them play. I mean, Gunther's going to be he's going to have a chance to win a Rocket Richard at some point. Logan Cooley's the truth, and Clayton Keller's just been outstanding for them. But they're fun. Like, they are talented. It kind of shows too that Armstrong knows what he's doing, and it was just the incompetence of ownership in Arizona that was probably holding that team back from maybe taking a step earlier. But it's tough. Like, the West is an absolute slaughterhouse because they're going to have to deal with Minnesota. They're going to have to deal with St. Louis. But as far as taking a step, it makes all the sense in the world that they could do that because, again, their high-level guys are high-level players. They might not be all-stars just yet, but it just feels like if it's not this year, look out next year, right? And then, oh, great, Utah gets to join the Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado triumvirate at the top of the division.
Hey, pal, great chat as always. Enjoy these games tonight. You'll have lots to talk about on Skates and Plates tomorrow. And enjoy the World Series. Hopefully, when we're talking next week, we've got a real series and talking about this, maybe coming back to Toronto for Game 6 and, dare we say, Game 7.
Let's do it. Go Jays. We'll talk soon.
All right, good stuff with Rue. And, of course, puck drop tonight, 7 o'clock, right around the time the Minnesota Vikings are going to be taking on the LA Chargers on Thursday Night Football. There's been some great Thursday nighters this year, far better than the old days of the AFC South Super Bowl between the Jags and the Titans and whatnot. It's been a lot better this year. So let's get over to the CoolBet lines for today, brought to you by our friends at CoolBet. Hey, if you haven't played a CoolBet before, use that promo code WST. Hook you up with a 100% bonus up to $200 in your first deposit. And if you missed it yesterday, if you're a good poker player, please join us for our next WST tournament on a Wednesday in November, so someone can take a legitimate run at Jeff Hamilton, because we fell up short last night. He'll be on the show tomorrow to peacock in front of all of us as a now 3-time champion. Unbelievable. We addressed it at the beginning of the program, but yeah, tomorrow Hammer's going to be on. But tomorrow as well, 10 a.m. live on YouTube, WST, myself, Pat, and Jake, with the weekly WST Winners NFL Pick Show. We'll dive into that, and I'm sure the guys will be talking about some World Series as well. Actually, just before we get into the picks, speaking of which, the guys just sent me over. Already, if you want to bet the Blue Jays, CoolBet has the best number. Go into the exclusives. It's not plus 186. It's boosted to plus 250. Best number you'll see on the Blue Jays anywhere. They've also added in a new promo, World Series Bet Insurance. And it's, of course, harkening back to 1993 with the Jays. If you place a $19.93 bet on a player to hit a home run, you receive a bonus of $19.93 if your bet loses. This is a heck of a deal. I mean, essentially, it's a free home run bet. So I just tweeted it out. It's over at the CoolBet, but you can, there it is. So you hit a home run bet, you reply to the post before the game starts with your bet slip and your CoolBet username. If your guy doesn't get a homer, boom, the $19.93 going back into your account. I can assure you, well, we'll have to figure out who we want to pick tomorrow for a homer for the Blue Jays, but we'll do that tomorrow. But just a heads up, you can get on that today if you want. If you want to get ahead of the game, it is up there right now. And man, the boys are clearing out the promo department for the World Series. Hit another nice super boost last night. RJ Barrett over 15 points for the Raptors in the first one. Well, Remo, we've been doing these. I mean, it's amazing odds on some of these really likely bets. I mean, they're kind of no-brainers.
I hit that super boost. I was into it. RJ Barrett and what was the other one? Luka was
the day before, over 25 points. He had 44.
I was going to say, if I want to pick a player to win, does it have to be a Blue Jays player, or can I pick Ohtani to hit a home run?
I think it's any place to hit a home run bet. It's not exclusive to the Jays. Now, obviously, the odds are probably a lot lower on an Ohtani bet than somebody else.
That's true.
I might be leaning into my World Series MVP, Alejandro Kirk, for a game one homer.
He's got a big stick. Actually, my friend Benji Rothman, local comedian, I don't know if you saw his Instagram reel of Alejandro Kirk that went viral. Did you see this one?
No.
He did a split screen of Alejandro Kirk, hitting the ball in slow motion on the bottom, and the top was Homer Simpson and Homer at the bat going in slow motion. And he put it on Instagram reel, and it got 1 million views on Instagram, and rumors were that it got back to the Blue Jays clubhouse.
I'm sure it did. If you get 1 million views, it's gonna get sent around for sure.
So yeah, Alejandro, he's making news. I did enjoy when he ran from second to home. It was the only time he had done that all year, scored on a single. And he did in the ALCS.
He's clutch, as I said, pre-playoffs. $10 on Alejandro to be World Series MVP at 120 to 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I put Bo at 75 to 1, not knowing that he'd be out for the playoffs, but he's back. But yeah, Alejandro 120. He is 30 to 1 if you want to bet him right now for the World Series. But anyways, that's the promo. Obviously, everything's up for the series. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But definitely take advantage of that bet. Check out the X account of CoolBet or myself too. That's where you're going to reply to that tweet with your bet slip for what you're doing. All right, Minnesota and LA tonight. This has been going back and forth. When I did the lock shop today, some books actually had it at 3.5, and it just seems like they are begging us to take the Vikings. So it does feel like a bit of a fishy line. I am a sucker for the Vikes. I seem to bet them all the time. This is, I think, a bit of a stay away game for me tonight, to be perfectly honest. The Vikings are plus 155 on the money line, though. I really feel they should have beaten Philly last game. They got burned by 3 long passes. Other than that, Philly didn't move the football very well. Herbert's coming off a 400-plus yard passing game, but it was empty calories because they were getting absolutely trounced by the Colts. It's a really tough game to read. Couple things that I do like, though, tonight are over 4.5 catches for Jordan Addison. He's been getting a ton of targets as Justin Jefferson gets so much attention, I should say, from the defensive secondary. And I would be surprised if the Vikings run the ball quite a bit tonight. We were talking about a Carson Wentz prop on over. Kubet has him at over 12.5 at minus 122. I don't mind that. I think I'm going to lean into my fantasy running back, Jordan Mason, for over 53.5 yards. And I think on the Chargers side of things, Keenan Allen is just so consistent. Let's go plus 107 on over 5.5 catches for Keenan Allen receptions. But right now, cool bet, it's 3. Vikings plus or minus 103 if you're taking the 3 points, and minus 114 if you're laying the 3 points with the Chargers. And it just moved from 155 to plus 150. Still a pretty nice number on the Vikings if you're looking at them to win. Now, we have obviously a busy night in the National Hockey League, and of course the Jets are playing. I put together the run it back parlay for tonight's Jets game. Jet fans, we missed Josh Morrissey's franchise record assist on Monday, and we also missed Jonathan Taves' first goal, and we missed a Jets win. So why don't we run that back tonight? Jets to win, Jonathan Toews to score. Josh Morrissey assist. The boys have given us a nice boost up to plus 900, 9-1. So $20 bet pays 200. I'm in on that tonight. If you want to ride with me, you got to get into the exclusive tabs under Winnipeg Sports Talk Parlay. Ride with us. Toews goal, Morrissey assist, Jets to win, plus 900. We were kicking around. I don't know if there's any games that you like tonight on the docket. I like Dallas to kind of come back in a much better way after they lost 5-1 to the Blue Jackets at home. They've got the Kings, who, of course, beat the Blues in overtime 2 nights ago. Dallas at minus 141 I like. I know Detroit played last night and lost to Buffalo. I'm still taking them tonight against the New York Islanders. They've had such a nice start. I think they'll be really geared up for this one after dropping that game in the third period last night to Buffalo, to not quickly drop 2 games to Buffalo and the Islanders after the great start that they've had. Detroit's plus 113. And game of the night, Carolina at Colorado, Reem. Avalanche minus 133, Canes plus 113. I think this is sort of a coin flip. I'm actually going to roll with the Oilers and the Canes tonight. Put those 3 together. We're at plus 675, so I might put a little sprinkle on that game. Do like Dallas tonight, but plenty of options. You've got the Habs, who, of course, won an OT last night against the Flames. They're in Edmonton. Oilers are minus 227 faves. We mentioned the Canes plus 113, Avs minus 133. Jets are minus 227 to beat the Kraken outright. Blues minus 122 favorites at home against Utah. Utah will be here on Sunday. Vancouver got whooped by the Penguins a couple nights ago. They're in Nashville to take on the Preds as their road trip continues. Close to a pick'em. Vancouver a really slight road favorite. Ottawa, no Brady Tkachuk. They're at home, but they're a minus 159 favorite against Philly. Rangers, a huge minus 278 favorite against the Sharks, who are still looking for that elusive first win. Pittsburgh and Florida, the champs are minus 192. Ducks in Boston. Boston just a minus 116 favorite. And the early game tonight, Chicago at Tampa, Lightning minus 298 favorites. I believe the biggest favorite on the board tonight. Those are your CoolBet lines today, folks. Can head on over to CoolBet and use that promo code WST if you haven't played before, and keep your eyes on their X account and the promotions tab because they're cooking up a lot of stuff for the World Series. Remo, you're in the building tonight. I'll be in the building tonight. Should be a fun way to kick off a very busy weekend for the Winnipeg Jets against the Kraken.
Yeah, the Jets will be wearing the Heritage jerseys, and you mentioned that Carolina-Colorado game also both wearing Heritage jerseys. Avalanche rocking the Nordiques, Carolina rocking the Whale. First time since 1992 that jersey matchup has faced off. So
it'll be fun to look at. I do sort of feel for
I don't like it.
Fans in Hartford and Quebec City watching this, it'll probably turn their stomachs and make them sick. And obviously we in Winnipeg maybe are a little more empathetic to them than everybody else. The jerseys, for that matter, are pretty sick, though. It's going to look awesome on the tube.
The jerseys look awesome. I think it's insulting to the fans of those cities. I don't think that they should do it. It's not right unless you're going to be playing in those cities. Feels wrong to me. Feels like dancing on the grave of those teams. Some might say it's actually honoring them. I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, they'll say, no, we're not dancing on the grave. We're just going back to the grave site to remember. Either way, people in Hartford and Quebec City, I'm sure, will be choked. But maybe they want to be remembered. I don't know. We're just lucky that, we don't have a team in Phoenix that's wearing old Jet jerseys right now. And we have to think back, oh, yeah, remember back in the mid-'90s when we had a team? The team is back. They're one of the best in the National Hockey League. They're looking to win their 6th in a row tonight. And we will be there. Hope to see you there, too. And don't forget, tomorrow's going to be real fun. 90s night. Jets and Flames. And then, of course, Utah on Sunday afternoon. Man, this was a fun show. If you jump by late and you're into the World Series, make sure to check out JD Bunkas joining us in the first hour of the program. He was phenomenal. A really, really fun conversation just about everything that his team has done this year, and certainly the vibe around sports fans in the GTA and coast to coast with the Blue Jays coming in. Great stuff with Ken Weeb, Brandon Rewucki. Of course, Remis doing a great job getting us the latest from the Jets practice. We've got a practice report from Connor up, our morning skate. Obviously, that'll be up on all of our socials. And don't forget, post-game content will be available for you tonight. I believe Remis and Connor will be cranking that up. They'll be up in the press box tonight, and we'll have that for you. If you're watching Kenny and Rennie live, usually by the end of K&R, it is up on Winnipeg Sports Talk. So do us a favor, pop by, leave a comment, leave a like there. And if you do go to bed early, it's going to be waiting for you on YouTube and in your inbox in the AM with Connor and Michael with the full breakdown of the game. I'll have my thoughts for you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're going to have a big show breaking down tonight's tilt, getting ready for Calgary and Utah on the weekend. We will have Murata Tesh joining us on the show. The highly anticipated victory lap of Jeff Hamilton on the program, the latest of the Bombers. And Hacksaw, we might need some extra time for Hacksaw because we got Jays Dodgers World Series. Hacksaw's all over the NBA gambling scandal. And, of course, the NFL Notebook. And Patty G will join us just a few hours before Game 1 of the World Series as well. And, of course, we'll have marbles. That's going to do it for us, gang. We're going to get the podcast up so people can listen before the game tonight. Enjoy Jets Kraken, Thursday Night Football. And we'll see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right here to kick off another weekend on Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Thanks to all of our sponsors and you for being a part of us, and we'll see you tomorrow on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.